Good evening, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court, hosted by yours truly, Stephanie E., right here on the Nothing But Knicks Network. The draft is 3 days. I think, what is this, Monday? Around this time, the draft will have started. We'll be in Atlantic City for the second annual MBK draft party. If you're not able to join us there, please make sure your notifications are on so you'll be notified when we start and you can join us and listen in and hopefully watching. Yeah, as we cover the draft, the Knicks have the 11th pick as well as the 42nd pick. So let's see what they do. Do they stay put? Do they trade up? I'm hoping, or trade back. We shall see. I'm joined today by Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises, Ron from Still Nick Fans, and Uncle Freezy from Blonde Tears. For the first time on the Queen's Court, I am blessed, and of course, Simeon Russell, the mastermind behind all of this, behind the scenes, doing what he does. Appreciate you, Sim. All right, let's get into it. How you doing, fellas?
Good, good.
Peace, Queen. Shout out to the chat. Freezy, welcome.
Hey, man. I
Long
appreciate
time
y'all
no
having
see.
me. Yeah,
And
man.
Ron, we all still Nick fans.
Always
Yeah.
your bracket time.
Yeah, y'all.
And shout out to the chat as well.
Sure.
All right. I mean, listen, let's get into it. We're talking point guards. Obviously, the Knicks pick 11. So at the 11th pick, there really aren't any point guards ranked that high. So the point guards I have is if the Knicks happen to trade down. So we'll talk about what we think as far as their fit with the Knicks, whether or not you think they can come in and contribute right away in the rotation, or do you think it'll take a few years for them to make the rotation. And actually, I'm really interested in if you think they're better than who we have right now on the roster. So let's get right into it. We ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think I'm on the island right here. I think I might be the only one that like Tata. But anyway, Tata Washington Jr., a point guard out of Kentucky, about 6'4", 194 pounds, 20 years old. In his lone season in Kentucky, 12.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists, shot 49.6% from the field. And if you remember, the Knicks wing players are not very efficient when it comes to shooting. 35% from three, 75% from the free throw line. I've seen his draft projections anywhere from the mid to late first. In terms of his strength, size, length, three-point and mid-range shooting, scoring, he has a short touch, can play on and off the ball, crafty, good court vision, good decision maker and playmaker, good feel for the game, good defensive instincts and effort. In areas of concern, his athleticism, his speed, his burst / first step, creating separation, getting and finishing. I think getting to the rim, finishing at the rim. I will say, he was injured. His play went down after the injury. And a lot of people, when they talk about Tata, they just act like who he was after the injury is all he's ever been. I'm just going to throw that out there. But anyway, I just want to, let's go to the panel. Your thoughts on Tata overall, his fit for the Knicks, if you think he's better than the point guards we already have. Do you think he would crack the rotation in his first year or down the line? Thoughts? I'm going to let Big Freezy go first.
So you and I are, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure being here. I'm a big fan of the show. And I believe I like you as a chief rocker in Knicks universe. You know what I'm saying? As being a host. So appreciate you having me. Secondly, to address what you mentioned, you and I are like-minded, right? Okay. I feel like Tata Washington is a quality NBA point guard. And I do feel like lazy scouting has led people to believe that Tata Washington is the player after the injury as, the Tata Washington from high school and prior to the injury, his play at Kentucky, right? When Tata Washington got healthy a little bit at Kentucky, you saw a dominant NBA caliber point guard. Now, of course, his burst is going to be off. Of course, his athleticism is going to be limited. Of course, his speed is going to be limited. He wouldn't be able to separate with lower leg injuries on both legs. I think what hurt him is he tried to gut through it and show toughness. But when Tata Washington is healthy, he is in my opinion, a point guard to the caliber of what Jalen Brunson was maybe 2 seasons ago, where he sees the floor well, is a leader, and he won't be the most efficient 3-point shooter, but his shot selection when he's healthy is paramount. My area of improvement for him is not say the some of the things that may be listed, like the separation. I think it's more of shot preparation, how he gathers when the ball is moving away from him when he's off the ball, right? I think he is tending to get shots off slow, which leads to his shots being contested more. So, but I think that'll be cleaned up with individual coaching in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Would I take Tata at 11? No, because you have to, at 11 you have to value shop. But if we're in a situation where the Knicks trade back and he's still available, I would definitely consider Tata. And not only would I consider Tata, I would say this. And when you have a young core like the Knicks, you have to look at the fit. And I think Tata Washington would be a personality fit for this young core that needs more young leaders. You know what I'm saying? I think Tata Washington would bring that leadership aspect, that controller of the game type thing. That, you know what? I use a Knicks universe term, floor general. Right? I don't think he's exactly that yet. Right? I don't think he's gonna, come in and take over the franchise, but I think he could be groomed into being that. I think that the parts are there for him to be a long-time NBA player. I think that now his strengths sometimes can be the double-edged sword, like not knowing when to quit is sometimes a strength, but it's also sometimes a weakness. You know what I'm saying? So I like Tata a lot. I do think he's crafty. I think he is a playmaker. I do think he could be an efficient scorer if he's healthy.
Before I move to Ron and then Tony, what about, is he better than what we already have in terms of, I see a lot of the fan base will say he's another IQ, and I've seen that as well in terms of mock drafts. That he's similar to IQ. Do you agree with that or no?
No. Okay. I don't think Tata is a shoot first combo guard, right? I don't think Tata is going to shoot 90% from the free throw line, right? I don't think Tata is a Lou Williams prototype, right? I think Tata is a point guard, right? And so for those that see a 6'3" guard coming out of Kentucky, could easily say he's Tyrese Maxey or Emmanuel Quickly. You know what I'm saying? He's not that. To me, that's somebody looking at a 6'3" guard out of Kentucky and just assuming all these guys are the same. All these guys are cookie cutter. I think this guy is more of a balanced leader. You know what I'm saying? Like I think he would depend on his troops more to help in the fight, whereas Quickly depends on himself more. Like you'll see, we saw Quickly shoot contested. Quickly was contested by 2 defenders at times and still shot threes. You know what I'm saying? Quickly would shoot the ball from 26 feet. I don't see Tata doing that.
Okay. Thank you for that extensive breakdown. Appreciate it. Ron?
It's tough because I guess I'm a little bit on the fence with Tata because he is, I think he's getting overlooked by a lot of people because of the injury situation. and he went through a lot and was still recovering throughout the season. And I think some people take that into account, but just on paper and just the eye test, you're not giving him as much credit as he should deserve, because he does have a good skill set. He's got very good court vision. He's got a nice shot. But I think that's, he gets a little overlooked because he's still working himself back into game shape. And I think when he officially gets back into that high level of health, and he can do some of the stuff that he's used to doing on the court, I think he's going to be a good draft pick for a team. The Knicks, my whole thing is I'm just concerned about if they would even take a chance to do something like that, knowing that, comes from the same school as Quickly and as Maxey, because I feel like Ty's a little bit below them, right? And so if you're grooming a guy like Quickly to be the point guard, or at least in his mind, that's what he's been working towards for the past 2 years, and then you want to bring in someone who technically wasn't, you don't want to say it like that, but like he was underneath them. So it's kind of like, how would Quickly take that? And as the organization is so much, they're so big into relationships, would they want to do that and possibly upset Quickly? That's just what I'm thinking. I mean, maybe in a business, you just do what you got to do. But I'm just thinking the way the Knicks move with this whole, everything's a relationship with World Wide West and Leon, I just wonder if they would even make that move.
Okay. Tony?
I think Ron made some of the points that I was going to make, rather than put it in the sense of upsetting Quickly, because I'm a firm believer if we get him and he's the better fit or the better player at the position, then he gets the nod. I'm not worried about feelings. I should have started by saying I trust the organization. So if we do move down and now we have 2 picks and he's one of them, then I trust their judgment. But me personally, I do have concerns with Tata, definitely in comparison with Quickly. Freezy, you mentioned that he's gonna still have to take some grooming, and then similar to what Ron has said, we've been grooming Quickly for this. So I'd much rather continue to groom Quickly rather than bring another guy in that needs the grooming off the jump. You know what I mean? If this was a guy that I thought could start and come in and start immediately and clear cut, better option than what we have right now, I would say yes. But he's not a clear cut better option in my opinion. Some of the concerns I have with him are very similar to the concerns that were said about Quickly. Avoiding contact, staying away from contact, not liking contact. I think Quickly's gotten a little better at that. I would assume Tata would as well, but it's the same thing of why bring in a guy that we gotta kind of usher into something when we have a guy that we're ushering in or already, and I don't think he's a clear cut better option. So that's why me personally, I would probably lean towards not going that route, and picking up somebody else that maybe it's a more of an immediate impact ready guy.
The only thing I'll say to that, and then I'll let Freezy, if he has something he want to add, is Tata is actually a point guard. So he may need grooming, but he's not going to need grooming on playmaking and decision making, which is the issues that we have with Quickly. Quickly is a combo guard. He's more of a shooting guard who we're hoping with time can get his decision making together. His playmaking has definitely improved and can eventually play the point guard. Tata is a point guard from the jump. And I think everybody who's coming out is going to need some grooming. I think,
Right.
but the areas in which they need grooming is different. And I think that's the difference between Tata and IQ. And the other thing I want to say about IQ is a part of me wants to just give up on him ever being the starting point guard for the Knicks, because I feel like if there was ever an opportunity for him to start or get time, it was last season when Kimba was down, Derrick Rose was down. what the sense I'm getting is they don't see IQ as a lead point guard, and that's why they're keeping him in that backup role. Offensive player off the bench. I'm not sure what their plans are, but the fact that he didn't get any time starting just leads me to believe they might not see him that way. But Freezy, you wanted to say something?
Right. And so Tibbs told the world that when he was asked about Alec Burks being a starting point guard, he told the world that the Knicks have no other options. Tom Thibodeau said that in a press conference when he was asked by Mark Berman. He's like, Alec Burks is the best option we have at point guard. And for those fans that like Emmanuel quickly at point and wanted Miles McBride to get more minutes, it upset them. But Tibbs said that. Now, my deal is this. We have to look at a future past Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose, right? We have to look at a future past those two guys. Is Tata Washington going to come in and immediately be the franchise point guard? I would say no. But what point guard comes into the NBA that's not, say, a top 3 pick and is going to be the franchise point guard right away and blossom? All point guards, just like other positions on the floor, need time to gain experience, time in the NBA weight room, time with NBA skills coaches in terms to get better.
Oh yes, Tony.
My issue is more so that he's not gonna start. You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem if Quickly doesn't start like right now. So it's not about necessarily Quickly starting or Tata starting. It's the fact if we get Tata and he's and I don't believe he could earn his way into that starting lineup, even throughout the course of a full season. That's kind of where my issue lies is that now we kind of have two guys in the same role. Unless you guys like really truly believe Quickly is better suited long term at the 2, then I understand your guys' argument. But I think it'll take Tata at least a year and that's a stretch to become a starting point guard for us. And I think Quickly it may take another year and he could reach that. And that's based off of the improvements that I've seen. And then Tata, obviously we haven't seen it at that level. But my question would be, do you think he ultimately would be better than Quickly? Whether it's yes, but only at the point guard position, or just no, or yes in general, whatever role he's put in.
I think for me, I think he would be a better point guard in terms of an overall player. I'm not sure. I think the other thing to keep in mind with Kentucky is that a lot of those guards come out and be better. Tyler Hero, we can go down the line. Booker, Tyler Hero. Oh man, I'm missing
Quickly Maxey.
Yeah, Quickly Max.
How about John Wall, Eric Bledsoe?
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
These guards, come out. I mean, there's always a Kevin Knox, but he wasn't at the guard position. So, the way they play, you might get a little more than what you see when it comes to these Kentucky guards. But I get it. I'm not strongly saying the Knicks should. I mean, these are all trade down candidates. Anyway, anything else about Tata before we move to?
Another quick question is the comparison, comparison of him and Deuce as far as long term and who will be the better prospect, and I'll leave that specifically at point guard if you have a thought on that.
I would say Tata only because one of the knocks coming out of college for McBride was that he was actually an off guard in a point guard's body.
Right.
And, he had that nice mid range shot, but can he run a team? And in the first year with the Knicks, I don't even think he got a lot of experience either, so that you could say, well, he spent the entire season in the G League as the point guard running the show. I think he's gotten better. He didn't really, I don't think his role was managing a team when he did play in the G League. He didn't get a lot of time for the Knicks. So I'm not sure he's improved in that area. I think we shall see, with Summer League coming up. That's my thoughts on it. Anybody else have any thoughts on Tata and McBride?
If I may.
Absolutely.
McBride, let's not get it twisted. Miles McBride is not a skilled point guard. Miles McBride is a energy point guard. Like, he scores his points on hustle and things of that sort. He is not going to manipulate the defense to create for others or himself, right? Miles McBride is a energy point guard in the mold of what Kyle Lowry was coming out of Villanova, right? Eventually, Kyle Lowry developed certain skills, like he became a more dependable three-point shooter. He developed a sense of when to feed the hot hand, and that hot hand wound up being DeMar DeRozan. You know what I'm saying? For when they were young, when Kyle Lowry finally got away from Memphis and Houston. But people forget about the fat Lowry in Memphis, right? People forget about the Kyle Lowry in Houston, right? And just like Kyle Lowry, Miles McBride is going to have to take some time and develop one or two legit NBA skills. Tata Washington is coming into the game with them already, right? Tata Washington is coming into the NBA with playmaking ability and the ability to find players when they're open. Miles McBride is not able to do that, right? Emmanuel Quickly is not able. You saw Obi Toppin. I bet you we saw Obi Toppin 20 times be wide open from the dunker spot looking for the lob and quickly shot a contested three, right? And so the thing between Tata Washington and Miles McBride and Emmanuel Quickly is the former two are combo guards, right? Tata is a point guard that can do two guard stuff. He's not a point guard. He's a point guard that can play off the ball. And that's the perfect type player that you want next to Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, because we know RJ can be ball dominant, shot dominant. We know Julius Randle can be ball dominant, shot dominant, right? The reason why Kemba didn't work is because when Julius Randle gets into his ball dominant role, what could Kemba Walker do off the ball, right? RJ Barrett dominating the ball. What could Kemba Walker do off the ball? You insert a Tata Washington. Tata Washington can create a shot as a secondary ball handler inside of a play, right? Inside of a play, he can be the secondary ball handler. He can direct traffic on weak side away from the ball, put people in position without having the ball in his hands. So it's a natural point guard instinct thing about Tata Washington. It's the classic. Just because he looks and is built like a guy doesn't mean he like Ron. Both Ron and myself are both 6'5", right? But me and Ron from this Still Knicks fan are not the same person. That's all I'm getting at with the Tata and Miles McBride thing.
All right. Let's move on to one of my late favorites. If the
my God, we are like, I swear you and I are like-minded. You and I are like-minded.
If the Knicks trade down, Dalen Terry, point guard out of Arizona, 6'7", 195 pounds. He's thin though, 20 years old, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 50% from the field, 36% from three, which was a big upgrade from what I understand from the previous season, 73.6% from the free throw line. I've seen him in the late first. If anybody's seen him earlier, let me know. Size, length, quickness, ball handling, defensive versatility, can guard 1, 2, 3, strong finisher. His playmaking, on the backdoor cuts, being able to really see people. He has a good feel for the game. good transition finisher and passer. And when he's in transition, and he impacts the game without scoring. So when you look at the 8 points and the 5 rebounds and the 4 assists, it's misleading in my opinion in terms of what he brings to the game. He needs to put on some weight. His offense has to improve in terms of his scoring and his shooting, including his 3-point shot, his catch and shoot shot, off the dribble, self-creation. But this is somebody, in my opinion, that can contribute in so many other ways while his offense is coming along. And I like that at the point of attack, that point guard position, he can defend that. And I think that's one of the issues we've been having with the Knicks at that point of attack, being able to keep opposing point guards out the lane, and just his being able to, like an assist, you could pass the ball to the corner. I've said this, to a wing, and they hit a shot, you got an assist. But to me, that's not playmaking. Playmaking is creating shot opportunities for your teammates. So I like him, but so I'm interested in the panel's thoughts on Jaylen Terry out of Arizona. He played with Benedict Mathurin. He played with Koloko, 2 guys I like as well. So yeah, your thoughts on him in terms of fit? Do you think he would get into the rotation? Yeah, and he could play off ball too.
Yes.
But yeah, your thoughts. Let's start from the top, and then Ron. Next time you could go first. Tony, Ron, and then Freezy.
I haven't seen the full list of who we were discussing today, but I believe he's number 2 on today's group of people. You put me on to him last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think you heard. I don't know if you was aware of somebody put you on in the chat, but I remember you telling me, and I said I gotta do my research on him. And I like him. I like him. He's another guy that I think would fit in better. Tibbs likes the tall point guards, so I think if he's the number 2 guy on this list tonight, that I feel like could even have a potential of starting, by season's end, because of what he does, what he brings, and how good he is at that, which is facilitating defense, has the length. He's gonna have to get stronger, but even with that, guarding the point guard position, I think his size and length will make up for some of his shortcomings in weight that he could work on. But yeah, I really like him. He's number 2 for me as far as the guys with the discussion moving down for. And like you said, late first, there's a potential that we could even get him in the second. So I like him.
Oh, if we got him. If we got him in the second round, I don't even care. I don't even care what the Knicks did in the first round. If they came away with whoever in the first round and Jaylen Terry in the South, I'm taking my ball. I'm going home. We
popping
good.
champagne. Yes, man.
Ron?
Okay. So listen, personally, I had no clue about Jaylen Terry. I did not know about him whatsoever. But we had a show on Still Knick Fans, and we had my guy Corey Tulaba from No Ceilings on. And when I had him on, we asked him about certain guys that he liked, and then we got to the point where we thought if there was any steal or sleeper in the draft. And he said, he was adamant about this guy. He said best bang for your buck would be Jaylen Terry. There's something about this kid that is special. And I think once he gets into the league, you're going to see that the team that has him is going to be very happy. So he said all that. And I'm like, okay, who is this kid? I got to do my research. I got to check him out. So then after the show, like right after, I went and I started watching video. And let me tell you, I fell in love with this dude's game. He is my favorite point guard coming out of this draft. And that's saying Ivy. Oh, I don't care. Jaylen Terry is my favorite point guard coming out of this draft. And if the Knicks can somehow buy a pick into the late first round and snatch him up, because I think he's going late early 20s. If they can get him, that'd be great, because I don't think he's going to last to round 2.
No.
And
No.
I think his game is that good that once he gets in the system, gets his feet wet, learns it, his skill set. I mean, we're talking, you are basically getting, to me, I'm not, I hope I'm not overselling it, but I feel like you're getting Dyson Daniels in Dalen Terry. If you like Dyson Daniels and what he can be, I think you're getting that in Dalen Terry. So I don't know. I got nothing else to say. I'm in love with that guy's game. So yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and before I get to Freezy, that's exactly what I was saying. I was saying, is it the hype? Is it something I'm missing? Like, what is it about Dyson Daniel that he's ranked so much higher than Dalen Terry? Because both of them gonna have to develop their shooting. I think Dyson might be a little ahead though, in terms of his 3-point shooting, but I don't see that big a gap between top 8 and the bottom of the first. I mean, late first.
I think what he did, he came in and did his job, and he had guys that were maybe above him in the pecking order, which in a sense helped him do his job better. And then the thing with Daniels, I think there was guys that you thought were in the pecking order above him, and he came in and did his job, but also made an argument that, hey, I might be the guy, and you know what I mean, the guy that helps the other guys. You know what I mean? Like, so he kind of, I think Dyson's kind of did more than his job, more than just his job, in a sense.
And he did it in the G League, right? Which is a higher competition too.
Yeah, and with guys that were perceived to be, all right, Hardy, he's gonna be the go-to, the star. You know what I mean? I forget the other gentleman's name on the G League that was kind of a higher recruit, if you will, higher on the totem pole, where he kind of still just made his name for himself. But I do see the comparisons. I definitely, he's definitely a great consolation prize if you can't get Dyson. I like him too, and like I said, there's only one guy I got above him on this list.
Breezy.
Hey, listen. Okay, so in case y'all hadn't noticed, I'm super excited about this kid, right? So I had some of the same trepidation about Dalen Terry. About I don't know if I agree with the weight thing. I think it's more functional strength. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when I saw him, I was thinking, I wish he would get stronger. And so I don't know if that's a weight room thing or if that's a physique thing, right? So I agree. He does need more functional strength at the point of attack, especially maneuvering through the wash. You know, it bodies everywhere. You're trying to get through, people bumping you around, knocking you off your spot. Then you got to exert more energy to get back. So, but listen, I found this kid when I was looking at Ben Mathurin, right? I'm like, wow, Mathurin is throwing these alley-oops down, right? And then I was, then I started looking at Koloko, like I'm looking at the center, and I'm like, wow, Koloko has nice hands. Then I was like, wait a minute, who is this player? These dudes the ball like that. And so I look back at, and it's Dalen Terry. So I'm like, who is Dalen Terry? He's kind of big. Is he a forward? And then I watched tape and I saw his functional handles. He's not flashy, but he's not a turnover machine either. Right? But like not so his turnovers can be better, but I mean he's not careless with the basketball, so to speak. Right? I think this kid is what the Knicks need. The Knicks need a winner, and I think Dalen Terry is a winner, right? You know how you can draft the run jump athlete or the super skilled Euro or whatever, but ultimately we want everybody to be a winner. Well, this kid is a winner. This kid is a winner, and he's selfless. If you look at his numbers, you'll be like, well, 8 points a game ain't really that much. You know what I'm saying? 4, 5 rebounds, whatever. That's not a whole heap and handful, right? But but it's like that lyric from Prince. You don't have to be rich to rule my world. You don't have to be cool to see my. All I want, you know, I don't need all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't need, you know, it's all. I don't need all that stuff. I just want a cat that's going to come in and be a winner. And I think Dalen Terry, from day one, answers part of the point guard question. Right? I don't think immediately he's going to be the answer at point guard. But once you
will
bring
he
him
get in a rotation? Do you think?
Yes, day one, definitely day one. Day one, because of defense,
right,
and because he'll make the winning play, because he'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Being the guy with 0 points and 4 assists. And I think every team that wins needs a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? Like for those of us that played basketball at a somewhat high level, maybe high school and post that. When you're a big and you run up and down the floor, all you do is rebound. You know what I'm saying? When you're open, you want a guy that sees you, acknowledges that you're open, and tries to get you the ball. Sometimes, you know, it'll be, you know, a bad play. But for somebody that hustles say for instance, if we re-sign Mitch and we bring in Dalen Terry, all those times that Mitch was wide open, Dalen Terry will try to hit Mitch. And what does that do for Dalen Terry? He develops chemistry with the big guys. Like what's it do for Mitch? It keeps Mitch's motor running high. Like now you know you're just not out there running for cardio. Right? Right. Yeah. Our centers, our bigs had the lowest usage rate in the NBA, right? Our bigs had the lowest usage rate in the NBA because guys like Miles McBride, Emmanuel Quickly, Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, they didn't feed our bigs. Did they find our big occasionally? Yes. But they didn't feed our bigs when our bigs were open. Dalen Terry is the selfless type player that will get that ball to Mitchell Robinson and take Mitchell Robinson from an 8-8 guy to maybe a 12-10 guy. And for those that think, you know, what's the difference? That's only 4 more points and 2 more rebounds for all the money that you're paying Mitch. That's a huge difference because now you can stretch the floor with Mitchell Robinson being a threat down low, right? Now guys can't rush out to guys that like Grimes and others that can't create shots on their own, and you get all of that stuff by just adding a glue guy,
right,
a guy that's willing to pass the ball to everybody, right? You know, we had selfish guys at point guard this year, and selfish guys, you know, playing. To sum it up, not to talk y'all to death.
It's okay.
If we come away with Dalen Terry, I'm telling you, I don't want to see the rest. I don't care about the rest of the draft. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't if we trade back and say if we trade back and pick Dalen Terry first, I don't care who that second first round pick is, because I think we solved this thing by bringing in a guy that's selfless and can defend 1 through 3. I prefer Dalen Terry. Now I'm not gonna lie to you, the NBA. I prefer Dalen Terry to defend mostly 2s, mostly 3s, because most NBA 1s are cat quick.
Yeah.
Right. I prefer him to guard, you know, 2s and 3s, but I can live with him guarding some 1s. I could see at the next level, once he gets functional strength, Dalen Terry guarding 1 through 4 in a small ball era. Right. Yeah. I'm not saying game plan for him to guard Anthony Davis. What I'm saying is when teams run that pick and roll and we start switching on stuff, I'd be okay with Dalen Terry guarding some Jay Crowders is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, can I just add? You mentioned
absolutely.
You mentioned the guy that that might give you 0 points and 4 assists, and he'd be okay with that, and it'd be a winning play. I just want to add it'll be 0 points for 4 assists, and he'll be a plus 15 on the night.
Right.
And that's the kind of impact that I think you're referring to.
Right. And the kicker to it is being loved and embraced by your teammates by being a team player. You know what I'm saying? Like Biggs will run harder with Dalen Terry on the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Steph, I don't know if you played basketball at a high level. I don't know if y'all played ball at a high level, but there's nothing worse for a big, but to get a rebound in traffic, get scratched up by 2 or 3 people in traffic, right? Took it out to a guard, and a guard zoom down the floor and shoot a contested 3, Emmanuel, quickly. That is the most frustrating. You did all the dirty work, and these guards don't care about shots. Right? They won't work it. They won't even let you touch it. You box out 1 or 2 people, get a rebound, get scratched across your chest, kick the rebound out to a guard, and they fly down the floor and shoot a contested 26-foot 3-pointer and miss. The long rebound goes over your head. Now the big has to sprint all the way back, and then somebody dunks, and they're like, "Our bigs are lazy." You know what I mean? With cats like Jaylen Terry, you don't get that. That's the reason why. That's the reason why I mentioned the thing about Tata, and that's the reason why I'm saying the thing about Jaylen Terry.
Yeah, I just want to put up what I think is a false narrative, and I hear this a lot. Sorry, Freezy, 'cause it's coming across your face. The Knicks just need to continue building through the draft. When we've tried it fast and quick, we all saw the results. It just ends up bringing us back more decades and bringing us forward. I don't even remember when the Knicks tried to do anything quick and fast. We've been in the lottery since 2013 with 1 playoff appearance last year. That's what we've been doing, picking in the top 10 year in and year out without much to show for it. So I'm not sure what is the quick and fast way we've tried to build. The 1 year we traded for Carmelo Anthony, I just don't get it, and I hear that in the fan base a lot. There's multiple ways to build a team. Whether you want to go through the draft, whether you want to do what Brooklyn did, what the Lakers did, whether you have 1 or 2 superstars, or you have a Detroit Pistons type team with Rip Hamilton. There's so many ways to build a team and so many ways to build a championship. The Knicks just have to find the way that works for them.
And to add to that, I think the better argument would be the Knicks draft selection. As you stated, we've been in the lottery since 2013. A lot of those guys have not panned out. Right now,
Right.
I think we're in a better position, even with the guys that we drafted as of late, last 4 years or so. I think these guys are players. I'll say at least half of them will remain Knicks after their rookie contracts. So I think we're in the right direction in that sense.
Right.
But we have made some mistakes in who we picked in these previous drafts the past 10 years or so.
Right.
And Queen, if I may, before we move on to, I just want to say one other thing, just real quick.
Yes.
Just real quick. I think in today's NBA, we have to understand that you don't always need a floor general on the floor. Sometimes you can go positionless, like in this thing where you have multiple ball handlers, guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. Like when Tibbs runs his motion sets with 1 out and 4 guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. Right. And in this scenario where you have a Jaylen Terry, an RJ Barrett, a Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and some in a big for rim protection, right? You don't necessarily need Jaylen Terry to be the point guard running some play that's on page 76 in your playbook. And that motion offense, you know what I'm saying, when guys can do other stuff, you're talking about a 6'7", 200-pound kid that thrives at point guard, but has the flexibility to do other stuff. Right. Like in that 1-4, Jaylen Terry can screen guys, can be a backdoor screener for Obi to come up top and look for Obi to get his 3. And if it's not there, he can slide to the corner, which opens a lane for Cam Reddish or RJ Barrett to drive through to the basket, because you got 4 guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. That creates these open lanes where guys with handles and quickness can get to the basket and score. You know what I'm saying? When you put a traditional point guard out there, when you put a Kemba Walker out there, say for instance, you don't have the offensive flexibility. So what I'm getting at is when teams shut down, say for Tibbs is the king of preparation, right? But inside a game, when there is an in-game adjustment where a team does a counter move to what they thought Tibbs was going to do, and he shut us down for a little bit, and there's time to make an adjustment, Jaylen Terry fits inside those scenarios where you can go to a motion style where you can counter what the opposing coach is doing.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I'm happy if the Knicks come out of the draft with Jaylen Terry. The only thing about it is when you're trading down, you can't trade down for one particular player. It has to be a group of players because you have no idea who's going to be there. You're just hopeful that one of the 3, 4, 5 players you have on your board will be there. Tony?
Just a contrary to that, if you're comfortable with who you picked up at 11, then it you can't have one particular target down the line. You know what I mean? Because now it's like if I can't move down for this guy, the guy I have at 11, I'm comfortable with keeping. So
Right.
So I guess that would be like the only way. But I definitely see what you're saying. I mean, that guy might not be there if you know what I mean. If you take that chance of moving down, but as long as you're comfortable with who you have with 11, then yeah, you could take that risk. Because if he don't make it to the potential team that you were looking to trade down with, you just keep the guy you picked up at 11.
Well, I was thinking about the Knicks trading back into the first round, but maybe they'll trade all the way down to the end of the.
What I'm saying is that trade won't be official until the second. You know what I mean? That trade, who you traded with picks. Mm-hmm. So I think you still have to be comfortable, like with who you're picking for the other team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like because it may not pan out by the time that you move down the draft board.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing I will say is I'm a firm believer that if you like a particular guy, go get him. Don't worry about where they've been marked. Don't worry about what other teams think and like don't play around. Don't try to be cute. If you got 4 or 5 players and you know one of them is going to drop into your mind, that's fine. But if it's only one player that you like, go get him. That's what San Antonio did with Primo. I remember the year when the Celtics drafted Jaylen Brown. Everybody was saying it was a reach. Looks pretty good right now.
Right.
You know? Freezy, you wanted to say something?
No, ma'am. Man, listen.
When you pick up your mic, I'm like, all right, he about to spit something.
Hey, this stupid mic. Let me throw this mic somewhere.
All right. Anything else on Jaylen Terry before we move on? All right. Oh, my slide didn't come out great. Ooh, let me see if I can. So Jaylen Terry is a point guard out of Tennessee, 19. I think it's Tennessee.
Oh, you mean Kennedy Chandler?
Kennedy Chandler. I'm sorry. Kennedy Chandler, 19 years old. Let me see if I can see this. 14 points, 3 rebounds. I think that's 4.7 assists. Shot. I know that's not 30-something%.
That's oh yeah, it says 38.3 from the field. That might be a mistake.
That's a mistake. 36.3% from 3-point. From the 3-point line and only 60.6% from the free throw line. That is not a mistake. Draft protections late first round, but I've seen him earlier though. I've seen some mock drafts where they had him a bit earlier than the late first. Ball handling skills, good first steps, good in self-creation, a good shooter, good mid-range shooter as well, accurate passer. He's short, 6 feet, but he had I believe the best vertical at the combine. Good finisher at the rim, good on and on ball defender, quick speed with the ball, operates well out of the pick and roll. Obviously, his size is a concern for some. His frame, his free throw shooting, and shooting the 3 off the dribble. Before I give this to Ron, what I will say is I'm not as caught up on size and athleticism as a lot of other people. And I guess what I'm trying to say is if you have it, fine. But I'm not going to discount a guy because he's 6 feet tall and doesn't have a long wingspan. He does. He has a 6'5" wingspan. But I'm also not going to give a lot of credit to somebody because they can run and they can jump and they're fast and they're athletic, but yet they don't have a high IQ and they don't have ball skills either. So I try to be a little nuanced when I'm looking at somebody's size and wingspan and things of that sort. But I wasn't that familiar with Kennedy Chandler. I did some work today on him. But any thoughts on him, Ron? Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I am. And he shot 46% from the field.
Okay, thank you.
So everything else is correct.
Okay.
He's a really good basketball player. He can do a little bit of everything, and he has really good athleticism. As far as what you said, he can jump.
Mhm.
This guy, I mean, that's one thing. You get him, he could be explosive. I don't know, man. When you think of comparisons, I guess you could say somewhere in between Nate Robinson and Drew Bledsoe. I mean, not Drew Bledsoe, Eric Bledsoe.
Okay.
I think he's the type that because of his own vertical challenges and how he's looked at, he's got a chip on his shoulder. And if he gets to the right situation, the right team, it might really benefit him going forward because, some of these guys like Marcus Smart isn't the tallest guy, but you see he's got the biggest heart.
Mhm.
Like some of these guys definitely use that and it impacts their game and you get something extra out of it
Right.
when you're talking about these guys. The only thing is for the Knicks, I don't know if he is the right fit because of his size. And if we're talking about positionless basketball and having that type of interchangeability at different
Right.
positions,
Right.
he might be not the ideal pick.
Right.
But he is a good ball player and he can do a little bit of everything. He's very skilled. He's just a little undersized.
Okay. Breezy and then Tony.
Not a fan. There are some things in the game I think that may. I'm trying to say I think this kid is going to be a score first type guy, right? Like look for a shot first
Mhm.
type of guy because of the physical attributes that Ron mentioned,
Right.
right? And is a 6 foot scoring guard off the bench. Is that what the Knicks need at this point? Now he did give Tata Washington the business, right? So he did give Tata Washington the business in their head to heads. In terms of pro ability, I think he can be a long time pro. I just don't know. For instance, if he's on the floor with RJ Barrett and Julius Randle, and Randle has the ball, what is Kennedy Chandler doing? Can he play off the ball?
Right.
Right. Do we have to move guys in order to feature Kennedy Chandler? I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's a fit. And also, the Knicks were, I think, 28th in the league in free throw shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to bring in another guy that passes up easy points?
Right.
If we get him, I'm okay with it because at least we address the point guard position. But I don't know if schematically he is going to be a fit for us.
I agree with that. Let me just address this really quick. Shout out to Scott Woodruff. Appreciate you rocking with us. We have to cover all of the draft positions. So we did centers, we did wings. Now we're covering point guards. The Knicks may trade down. Listen, the Knicks, from what I understand, they have no problem drafting over people, right? We have a lot of wings, and but if they draft a wing, they're going to be drafting over, bringing a wing into a crowded position. So you saying, while we talking point guards, we have Deuce and we have IQ. Why are we talking Johnny Davis? Why are we talking Ben Mathurin when we have Cam and we have Grimes? That's just the business when it comes to the draft. You cover everybody, you do your due diligence, because you never know who may be out of here. you know, so I'm sure the Knicks are doing their due diligence, and we just trying to do ours. So that's why we're covering the point guards. I don't think the Knicks are going to take a point guard, but if they do, I'm not upset. Clearly, they don't think we have the point guard we need on this roster, and I mean the Knicks, not the fans. Shout out to Ray Rivera. I don't think it came up over here yet. Neat Freezy take on the Kyrie rumors. Shams is shams. We will definitely get to that. Thank you for the super chat. Somebody on the panel, please remind me. You know my condition. Any more thoughts on Kennedy, Chandler?
I mean, I'll say for him what I said for the first guy, and that is I trust this front office. So, and I want to point out, all these guys that we're talking about, I believe we're assuming these guys are coming with, it's a trade down situation.
Right.
So
these are trade down situations.
They're coming with another asset of some sort anyway. So let's consider that when we talk about these guys. We're not just saying go draft these guys at 11. They're coming with another potential asset. I'm not super high on them. I'm not super down on them. Again, it's somebody that if the organization goes that route, I'm looking at it as him plus another asset. So I'm looking at it as a package in that sort. What I will say is definitely brings another dynamic to the team that we do not have currently. He's probably would be second most athletic guy on the team if we bring this guy in, right behind Obi Toppin. Does have that chip on his shoulder. I think that goes a long way with certain players. The fact that he will be late first, maybe mid first, I think that adds another chip to his shoulder. I mean, I like things about his game. I always try to ask myself, can he beat somebody out on our current team? And if I had to say he could beat somebody out, maybe Deuce. And maybe I wouldn't put him in, like I wouldn't pencil him in as a guy that leapfrogs quickly or even starts. But as a third stringer, I think he could fit in that role. But other things will have to fall in line. Like we would have to move somebody on the roster. I can't see him just being here behind Deuce, behind Quickly, behind whoever's our eventual starting point guard. There's that.
I don't know him well enough. I haven't studied him well enough. So for those who have, is he a better prospect than McBride?
I believe he is. But that is off of limited tape and footage, obviously. But I think he brings some things to the point guard position that Deuce does not. And aggression is one of them. you know what I mean? And aggression along with athleticism, it could it's like I said, it's a dynamic that we don't have on this roster. So that alone, I love the Nate Robinson comparison. Who was that? Was that Ron or Freezy? I think that's a great comparison in Nate Robinson And I think he's more of a point guard than Nate Robinson was. So that says a lot. If
Yeah, Nate Robinson was a small forward in a point guard body.
Right. I think that, I'm just gonna agree that offensively he's a better prospect than Miles McBride. Defensively, Miles can be a lockdown defender type at the guard position, so that's his lane, and he can also give you some scoring. But I think one of the big attributes that Kennedy has is that athleticism and that first step. Miles McBride's biggest issue is having a first step to the basket and breaking down a defender and orchestrating from that point. He still has yet to show that with the Knicks as well. He did some stuff in the G League, but the G League is matador defense, so it's kind of fool's gold. Even though I was in love with him, I champion him all the time. I put the highlights up, but in the NBA, you don't see him really taking advantage of getting to the rim as much as you'd like to. He needs to work on that. But right now, Kennedy is the better offensive talent.
I also think that Kennedy has defensive potential. I think the problem is it's gonna have a cap on it. You know what I mean? But I also think even as good as I believe Deuce to be and capable of becoming, I think his defense has a cap on it too. I don't think McBride is ever going to be guarding, a lot of two guards in this league or any threes in this league. So I think he has great on ball potential, but I think it's limited to that point guard position. I think the same can be said about Chandler. If he reaches his defensive potential, it's still going to be limited to the point guard position. And he's going to have to come in and hang his hat on that immediately. Number one, coming to a Tibbs run team, but even at his small size, I think that's one of those things that he's going to have to find a niche defensively on something he can hang his hat on, whether it's full court defense and just being a pesty guy, which I think he's capable of, or just figuring a way to be a lock-in, lockdown guy, or just not being a liability. So he has some strengths, and again, he's not high on my list, but if the front office got him, that means they getting him and somebody else, and I trust their vision based off their past decisions and moving down.
I don't know, Tony, bro. The more I hear y'all talk about this dude, bro, I liken him to a very young DJ Augustine. I'm talking about the lightning quick jitterbug DJ Augustine, right? I think the underrated aspect of Kennedy Chandler's game is the offensive playmaking potential, right? See, Miles McBride don't have that. He's an energy offensive player, right? He not yet. Miles McBride is not a pick and roll maestro, right? At least Kennedy Chandler does show you some signs that if you call a play from the playbook, like if you call, if Tibbs called caddy from the sideline or something like that, Kennedy Chandler, I think, can, regardless of the player personnel on the floor, I think he can get you a good shot off, whereas Miles McBride is not going to do that. I think Miles McBride's thing, though, is I think Kennedy Chandler is athletic and explosive, but I don't think he is Miles more than Miles McBride. Miles McBride is athletic, right? But Miles McBride's defensive potential on those ones that you mentioned and some small twos, in my opinion, has the potential to be elite. Kennedy Chandler, I think he'll be a good defender, but good college defense doesn't translate to good NBA defense for rookies, right? Good, excellent elite defense translates to the NBA as a rookie because it just turns into good defense, right? So Kennedy Chandler is probably good defensively in college, but I think that won't be anything that he can hang his hat on. I think what he could hang his hat on is being a off the bench scorer initially, and a contributor to a playoff team. But I wouldn't see Kenley Chandler being a starting NBA point guard at this point. And
No.
neither is Miles McBride at this point. But I think I would prefer Miles McBride at this point because he does have the potential to have that one elite skill that can keep him in a rotation, and that's defense.
I agree. The only thing I would say is your offense can't be that far behind. So I get it that with Miles McBride, you're going to have potentially that elite defense, maybe a little behind offensively.
Right.
Kenley Chandler, the offense is pretty good, particularly his ability to operate out of the pick and roll and finish at the rim at his size.
Right.
He finishes very well at the rim. I don't know if his defense is that far, that far behind. And they're both the same height for those who keep saying he's so short. McBride is 6'1" as well.
Right.
But McBride is stockier. He has
like a DB,
a different type of frame. I mean,
and his wingspan is crazy.
Yes.
McBride's got long arms, man.
Yeah, his is 6'5". I think McBride's is 6'8". Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I wanted to cover those that's been mocked in the first round. I agree. I would be surprised if the Knicks traded down or traded back into the first round and drafted Chandler.
And I just want to add, as I mentioned the athleticism bringing a different dynamic in that aspect. Let's not forget the ball handling will also be a different dynamic from what we have on this roster, and I think I think that helps. With his small stature, the ball handling plus the athleticism, you know what I mean, that really changes. I like him, and if it's moving down, like I said, I'm not mad at it, but he's just not number one on my list.
And
Yes,
the last thing I was going to add is the ball handling and that offensive ability that he has makes him look like a better facilitator than Miles, even though Miles is just as good of a facilitator. But when your first step is not electric, and you can't, it limits you from certain things that you could do. Because Miles is fantastic at facilitating, and his turnover to assist ratio is tops. Like, I mean, he doesn't get enough reps, but when you look at the comparison, I mean, that would be tops in the league if he had the reps.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay.
Wow,
right.
Somebody stepped out on the limb.
Let's move on to the last point guard. We'll let Tony go first. Jaylen Williams, point guard out of Santa Clara, 6'6", up to 209 pounds. So that was people were asking for him to gain weight, and by the time he got to the combine, he was up to 209 pounds. 21 years old, 18 points, 4.4 rebounds, 4.2 assists, shot 51 plus from the field, 39.6% from 3-point land, and 81% from the free throw line. In terms of his strength, ball handling, efficient 3-level scorer, can play on and off the ball, can create separation with his craftiness. Like, he just knows how to create the separation. May not be due to speed.
Mm-hmm.
Very good shooter, good vision, good playmaker, operates well also in the pick and roll as a scorer or a playmaker. And he has size. He has great length. So he's 6'6". I think he has a 7-foot wingspan.
6'11".
I believe it is 6'11". And his vertical as well is pretty good. Good defender, but he doesn't have good bursts like that first step, that lateral speed. So creating, separating, getting his own shot, which he does do, but he can still get better at it. And strength. I really like Jaylen Williams, but Tony, after doing my research lately on Terry, I think I'm gonna go with Terry. But I like Jaylen Williams as also. So I'll let you go first. Then Ron, then Freezy.
Now I'll give you that he doesn't have the same type of defensive potential as maybe a Terry, or or somebody else we talked about on this list. But I think the potential defensively is still there. Where at the very least, he's not going to be a liability.
Mm-hmm.
What I really love about this guy, and you kind of just touched on it, you look at the strengths, you look at the areas of improvement, and you see the same thing listed on both. Like I think, to me personally, this is a guy who's turned a weakness into a strength. You know what I mean? People talk about the lack of separation, but the IQ and the craftiness that he possesses, he kind of turns the table on guys. You know what I mean? You don't he's one of those guys that I feel like is just a baller. You know what I mean? Like I'm so high on him, I don't even care if he's not a point guard, because he's a guy that I feel like he just knows how to create. He knows how to make things happen offensively. And then the main reason why I'm so high on him, efficiency, all across the board. Field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3-point percentage. I think all those things give me the vibes that his potential is even higher than what we're seeing from the numbers or things of that nature, because and his ceiling is even higher because of it. So he doesn't have to even end up being a superstar, which I think potential is there for. But even at his lowest point, I think he's going to be adequate enough that he could just affect the game offensively, all across the board. And then I think he's one of those guys that also has a chip on his shoulder. He's gonna carry that probably throughout his career. He's number one for me, especially on this list of guys. Sometimes I would talk about him at 11. So that's
listen, to your credit, I see one more draft that had him at 13. So he's rising fast. He's rising.
Yeah.
I don't know about 11, but I will say, if the Knicks love him, take him at 11. Don't get cute. If you like him, if that's your guy, go get him. Don't worry about the pick. Go get him. Ron and then Freezy.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about. No, I'm just joking. I love this guy. Jaylen Williams is a good basketball player. No question. I like Dellen Terry more, just because I just think Dellen Terry gives the Knicks more of that facilitating defender guy that they need. But Jaylen Williams is a bucket. He's a very comfortable player out there. Like, he's like kind of makes me think of like the throwback player.
Yes.
Just comes in, just gets it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be mad at this. Another thing that I said about the Knicks on the whole is they need more smart basketball players that just know how to play basketball. And Jaylen Williams is a guy who knows how to play basketball at the point guard position. So if they brought him in, I wouldn't be mad. I compare Jaylen Williams' game to Reggie Jackson. He's just, you give him the ball and tell him what to do, and he'll do it. And then if you need a bucket, he's going to get the bucket. He's comfortable getting buckets.
Right.
So, like, I like him too. I don't really have anything bad to say about him. He's a little slower than what you would want from a prototypical point guard, but he's also 6'6", so it's like a give and take. What he may lack in some burst, because he has good burst, but like what he lacks in like overall speed, just sticking with the fastest point guard on the team, he makes up for in other ways. And he'll be a nightmare up against other point guards with that 6'6" and that wingspan. The fact that he can jump a little bit, he can get up over people. I love more than a little bit. He's kind of athletic, and he's got a good shot. I don't know. There's nothing really negative I can really say too bad about Jaylen Williams. I like him a lot.
Hey, right. When I first talked about him, I was like, he don't have any weaknesses, Queen. Queen was like, everybody has weaknesses. But yeah, it's hard to. He's
a very solid basketball player. He really is.
Freezy?
Freezy got that.
Peace to the chat. I love y'all. Chat, so chat, I've been listening to Tony. I have been trying not to scream that this kid Jaylen Williams is a ham sandwich, right? I've been trying not to scream that, right? I almost got up out of my chair and walked in the other. Hey, y'all, listen, man. I understand at draft time, some guys appear on the radar and they do certain things, and we watch their cut ups and stuff, and they appear to be. Jaylen Williams is a ham sandwich, man. I'm sorry. Jaylen Williams is a guy, if the Knicks drafted him, he'd be the guy that we see every now and then. But at point, I can't see him, or as a backcourt player, I can't see him beating out Quickly or Grimes or RJ or Burks, right? That's who he just.
Yeah, he ain't beating out RJ.
But he's not chipping away at minutes on any of the guys. In my opinion, I don't think when I hear like about 2 weeks ago, somebody told me that I better look out for this guy or I'm going to look foolish. So I researched him over and over and over. And I'm looking for something distinct from this player, right? Like I honestly don't see one thing that pops out like off of from Jaylen Williams. I don't. And then I looked on Tankathon, and Tankathon had him listed as a small forward. And so I'm thinking like, okay, wait a minute. So not only does he not have a distinct NBA skill, like a go-to, right? It's what mock sites have him listed at other positions like shooting guard, small forward, some at point or whatever. And I know Jaylen Williams will probably play good in a positionless setting, like I mentioned about Dalen Terry. But if he is just a glue guy, do I spend a top 20 pick on him? Tankathon has him mocked at 16. Do I spend a top 20 pick on a guy that's just going to be a ham sandwich, so to speak? No disrespect to him, because I'm sure he'll be, a decent NBA player. But I don't see nothing. I think he's vanilla ice cream. Sure, he's dessert. He is dessert for sure, because ice cream is dessert, but he is the plainest of all the desserts you can get. He's the vanilla ice cream, in my opinion.
Just to Paris Douglas' point, Tony, and then I'll get to you. He said, what about his play in the pick and roll? Because he is good in executing out of the pick and roll.
And Quinn, I saw that, but I saw that, right? I was thinking like sometimes tape will deceive you, right? Because you know how sometimes tape will deceive you. You're like, okay, this dude's maybe he's more quick than he's showing on tape. Maybe right here he needs to be crafty. And then I looked at the level of competition he was playing against, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, okay. So if he was this good, if he was a top 20 pick, how come he's not dominating the level of competition that he's playing? See, with Kennedy Chandler, I could live with Kennedy Chandler's inefficiencies and such, because he plays in the SEC, right? Some of that stuff that Chandler can't do and Tata can't do, they play in one of the toughest conferences in college basketball. Jaylen Williams, I would take Alanis Williams over him right now.
Wow. That was the biggest knock on him that I read in the mock drafts when I was doing my research, was the lack of competition. But on the flip side, he was the focal point of the opposing teams. Like, he was the guy on the scouting report. He was the guy on the bulletin board. So everybody was geared to stop this guy. And not only were they unsuccessful in stopping him, he brings the dynamic that we don't have to the team as far as efficiency. He was efficient in his 18 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Efficient. So that right there is a dynamic that RJ doesn't carry. Randall doesn't carry. You know what I mean? Quickly has had issues with, especially early in the season. So I think efficiency, craftiness, which I'm not sure if you said you didn't see that, because I think that's where he's also elite at. You know what I mean? Like you talk about his lack of speed, lack of burst. He makes up for that with his craftiness. You know what I mean? And like similar to RJ, I think RJ, he doesn't have that burst and that speed, but he's crafty and he makes do on it. But not only does he make do in Jaylen Williams, but he does it efficiently. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm so high on him.
Right. But Tony, are we saying that since RJ can do it, we want to wheel out a backcourt of Jaylen Williams and RJ on a nightly basis of not that thing, maybe use mostly craft?
That's a skill that gets you through the league, and also a skill, if you don't have, could get you out the league. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about guys that are athletic and kind of rely on that, one injury could doom their career.
Like Dennis Smith Jr. Right?
Based off that. So the fact that he doesn't rely on it, and it's about craftiness and IQ, you know what I mean? I think that's a specific things that we're lacking on this team that he could bring in immediately.
I think I was just gonna say that I could see where Freezy would compare this guy to being a ham sandwich. But I will say that there have been some good ham sandwiches out there. Andre Miller was a ham sandwich and had a very good NBA career. Yes, he did have really good court vision, was a great passer, but the rest of his game was very ham sandwich-like, right?
Right. So is Jaylen Williams Andre Miller, though? I'm asking because I hadn't seen that much. I've only been seeing him the last 2 weeks. Is he Andre Miller?
The court vision and the passing, no, he's not. He's not Andre Miller. But he is.
But his court vision is good, though.
No, it's not bad. It's good. It's just he doesn't pass like that. But he has good court vision. But what's good for him is his shooting. His shooting ability is very good. He's solid at shooting from all levels, right? And that's why I don't think he'll work for the Knicks per se. I actually see him going to the Bulls to be with DeRozan, to be with Lonzo, and that mix of players over there, because they already got something, and he'll be a nice filling piece, especially if they lose Zach LaVine. And I just also wanted to just big up Freezy for bringing him up, because Alanis Williams is another one of my favorite players coming out of this draft. Explosive, can do everything on the court at a high level except shoot from the three-point area. That's his one knock. But he's a leaper, man. He gives you, and this is why people are so torn on him, because he gives you that explosiveness that you can see from a Jaden Ivey, a Sharp, even a Benedict Mathurin. He can jump like those guys, and he's aggressive like them, but he's got great court vision. He's probably he's top 5 in this draft as passers. He's one of the best passers in this draft. So
would you take him over Jaylen Williams?
Would I take him over who? Jaylen Williams?
Alanis Williams over Jaylen?
Yeah, I probably would, even though he kind of fits that same mold of another Knicks player who can't shoot, but he can do a lot of good stuff, and he's so explosive. He can get to the rack whenever he wants.
I just wanted to give a
Tony, and then we could go into you had something to say about Jalen, or you wanted to bring up somebody else?
No, Jalen. I just wanted to give Freezy a player comp, in my opinion, of him, and that's a Karis LeVert. I think that's a good player comp of a guy that, you know what I mean, maybe don't have the super athletic skills or great foot burst and things like that nature, but he finds a way to kind of get it done. And I think similarly, I think he's a guy that could kind of surprise the league. You know what I mean? Kind of come out of nowhere. Down the road. But yeah, that was it on Jaylen Williams for me. And that's very offensive just because I don't eat pork. So, calling him a ham sandwich,
So I'm vegan, bro. I'm vegan. So trust me that I understand where you're coming from. So I get.
Freezy just came up here and took all the air out of the Jaylen Williams sale.
I was trying my best to hold it. I'm like, when I heard
I'm glad you went last, though. To let you go first, and then we could have got the energy back up.
No, I'm talking about Jaylen Williams like he was Walt Williams. Y'all remember Walt Williams? From Maryland? Yeah, he was talking about like he was Walt. I was like, wait a minute, is this dude talking about Walt Williams?
And it's funny because I seen somebody in the chat earlier saying how you were such a good salesman. And here you are devaluing my guy.
Oh man.
All right. Anybody else really quick? I don't know how much time you guys. I do a quick mock draft thing, but anybody else that you like if the Knicks were to trade down? Like there was a lot of other point guards I didn't include because I figured they would be second round picks. But anybody else that you think might be there in the first round as a trade down candidate?
The gentleman Freezy mentioned in saying that he would pick him over
Alanis. I've seen him in the second round though. You've seen him late first?
I believe I have. I do like him as well. Freezy. Not gonna poop on your guy.
Appreciate you, Ro. And the reason why I like him, I would say that not because your guy's a ham sandwich, right? But because Alanis Williams did it in one of the toughest basketball conferences in the country. So Alanis Williams did it against the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the Virginias, the Florida States. Whereas Jaylen Williams played against us.
I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was that bad. I don't know if it was that bad.
And I think all three of you guys, at the very least, probably got some good defense. So,
I mean, listen, it is what it is. Get me mad. You see the best of me.
Man, I got 13 hardcore minutes. Anything you asking me for 15 minutes, bro? I can't holler. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I do have one. I have one guy at the point guard that the Knicks could get at some point in time. I don't know if he's going to be first round. He could be second round, but he also that's the thing about this draft. There's some guys in here to fit your need of what you're looking for. Could be a steal of the draft at the point guard.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
That wasn't him, but that Scottie Pippen Jr. is Scottie Pippen Jr. Yeah, see that's what I'm saying. There's guys like that.
Right.
No, Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard out of Gonzaga. Let me just say this. He averaged 11 points per game, almost 12 points per game, right? 5.8 assists, 3.4 rebounds, but a steal and a half. He shot 87% from the free throw line,
wow,
38% from three, 45% from the field in 32 minutes. Now, I'm bringing up the 32 minutes and the 11 points because he's unselfish. He doesn't care about scoring. And when I think about the Knicks and having a facilitator, all you got to do is watch Andrew Nembhard's highlights. This dude has some of the best court vision, best passing. He might be the best passer in the NCAA. Just wow. He passes you open. Just take a look at him. You see what I'm talking about?
As a complimentary third guard, right?
No, he could eventually be the guy, but he's going to be unselfish and he won't shoot a lot, but he can shoot. That's what's interesting about him. He's a guy who he'll make RJ and Julius and other guys better because he cares about passing the ball.
Right? That's the kid that transferred from Florida, right?
Did he transfer from Florida?
That's the kid that Trey Mann ran out of town, right?
Here we go. Listen, okay, I didn't say he was perfect, but because that you might want to say the defensive end, he needs to kind of work on that part. But as an offensive facilitator, he's very good.
Sometimes fit goes a long way. I'll say that about the transfer and going from one school to the other and playing a lot better at the second
place. That's true. All right, we got a few more minutes, fellas.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Sure. All
yes,
right,
ma'am. I'm good.
Freezy, I don't want to hear nothing. You be on for 8 hours. Don't tell me that. Time constraint.
No, I'm very glad to be here.
Freezy was putting in full shifts from the jump.
Okay,
From the
man.
jump.
Hit the clock, bro.
All right, so
overtime and everything.
Okay, one of my favorite shows, by the way, Uncle Freezy. I like the Queen's Court, but it's a structured show with the slides. You got to prep for it. You got to prepare for it. And when I look at your show, y'all just kicking it, and people are coming in and out. It's like a day party. You want to come in early, you come in early. You want to come in at the end, you come in at the end. So I kind of like the vibe of that show. And when I did just nicking it, I can't say I thought of your show specifically, but I was thinking of that type of show where we just sitting around, and just talking Knicks without a lot of fanfare. And I started watching your show again, and I said, yeah, that's it. A lot of times I don't comment. I'll be at work, and I say it's best for me not to comment because then I'm gonna want to hop on and I want to talk more. So I just be in the background listening to y'all kick it. One of my favorite shows. All right.
Hey Queen, let me just say that I think you onto something with that title of the Knicks Day Party.
Knicks Day Party, right? That's basically what it is. They be going at it for hours. All right. So this next segment, what I did was I dug up a few mock drafts around the league, CBS Sports, NBA.com, whatever. But I just wrote down the top 10 picks. And so I'm going to pull one up. Freezy, you're going to go first. I'm going to pull one up for you. And given the first 10 picks, who would you pick for the Knicks at 11? Like a simulation. So each of these are a little different.
Okay.
So let's see. Here we go. Yahoo Sports. So this is the first 10 picks for Yahoo Sports. This is Freezy. Who you would take at 11? So Jabari Smith went first. Chet Holmgren second. Banchero third. Ivy went fourth. Keegan Murray fifth. Shaedon Sharpe sixth. Ben Mathurin seventh. Dyson Daniels eighth. Jalen Duren, who I really like, went ninth. Johnny Davis 10th. The New York Knicks are on the board with the 11th pick in the 2022 NBA draft. The New York Knicks select.
I'm torn right here because I think AJ Griffin provides something for the Knicks that they don't currently have, and that's that stout shooter with offensive playmaking upside. Now his defense is suspect, but I don't know if his defense is suspect because he's a bad defender, or is it an accumulation of the injuries that he's recovering from. I would say
who's the pool of players you're picking from? Right.
I'll tell you what, for the sake of entertainment and us just kicking it, I would say right here I take Jeremy Sohan. Wow. And the reason why I take a home run swing here is because I've seen teams in this range 11 through 20 take that prototype player and turn them into Paul Georges and Kawhi Leonard's. You know what I'm saying? And teams are hunting. Chicago took a player in that same mold, a guy named Patrick Williams, right? And so if we can get that guy under, say, a defensive-minded head coach that knows how to teach kids how to play defense, and bring along their offense slowly. Like if we, as a matter of fact, you know what? We have one. We have a coach that does that. He took a kid out of Marquette in that same mold at 30 in the NBA draft, brought him along as defense only, and then he turned into Jimmy Butler. So if we take Jeremy Sohan right here, the same blueprint, long athletic guy, cares about defense, wants to be, has that passion to be good at something other than just offense.
Mhm.
I would take Sohan here and trust that if Tibbs is here within the next 1 to 2 seasons, before he passes him off to the next coach, that Sohan, he may not be Paul George and he may not be Kawhi Leonard, but maybe he's Pascal Siakam.
Oh,
And
I would take that too.
And so if I had to gamble, just for the sake of us just kicking it, I don't have to be absolutely right here.
Right.
I would take a gamble on a Jeremy Sohan with the mindset that at training camp he's not a threat to RJ Barrett or Julius Randle, but in 2 seasons I could be looking at a spicy P, and if we unlock him, he might be a Kawhi Leonard, Paul George type player.
His defense is that good. And not just his ability to play different positions, but just his defensive IQ, his defensive awareness, his on and off ball defense. I mean, he's just on the defensive end all around. And you're right. If his offense ever comes along.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Queen, just real quick, one more thing real quick. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but since I'm on the spot, other teams are doing it. The Golden State Warriors selected the what's the kid the Warriors got, the young rookie guy?
Kuminga, Moody, or Wiseman?
Kuminga. Toronto did it with Scotty Barnes. Chicago did it with
Williams.
Patrick Williams. And if the Knicks was to do it with Jeremy Sohan and get a guy that's going down that road of becoming that next big thing type player by taking a mold of clay and building him from the ground up into what you want, I think it's a home run for the Knicks.
Okay. All right. Any comments on Sohan? Don't give me your pick because I got a whole other mock draft for Ron and Tony. But any thoughts on Sohan?
Oh, well, if that's the case, then yeah, I like Sohan. And I think he could be something special for the Knicks. I'm torn on it because the Knicks need different things, but having that type of guy who could be that defensive stalwart for them for years to come, and everybody else can feed off of that, like his defense is infectious. That's tough to pass up. I know one thing. You're going to take Sohan, you better put some shooters on that floor around him.
Right.
That's what I know.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
But I like it.
All right. Let's move to go ahead. You want to say something, Tony?
Well, is Ron saying like that's his pick as well, or you?
No. We just commenting on Freezy's pick. You're gonna have an opportunity.
Yeah,
you're gonna get your own mock.
I would.
Yeah, she's gonna scramble the board. She's gonna scramble the board for you, so you can do it. So you can do it too.
I think I'm higher on Eason than Sohan in particular.
Okay.
So I and I'm not saying I would pick Eason, but I think I'm higher on Eason than Sohan.
All right, Ron, this is for you. We going with CBS Sports, who had the top 3 pretty much the same: Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Banchero, Jaden Ivey, Dyson Daniels at 5.
Wow.
Jeremy Sohan at 6.
Wow.
Keegan Murray 7, AJ Griffin 8, Ben Mathurin 9, Shaden Sharp 10. Wow.
I was like, did you do this on
Hold
purpose
on, Ron. With the 2022, with the number 11 pick in the 2022 NBA draft, the New York Knicks select. It's on you.
Mr. Taco Bell, Johnny Davis.
All right, there you go.
I felt like you did this on purpose for me because this is who I think the Knicks should take, or most realistic that I think could fall to them out of my top guys that I like. And I think that this would be a fantastic pick for not only Mr. Tom Thibodeau, but I think the New York Knicks organization and fan base in the end would be pleasantly pleased with what Johnny Davis can bring to the organization. I think his defense will be he'll be running with the Bulls right away. And I mean that, literally as far as running with the Bulls, not the actual Bulls guys. I think he has that dog in him. I think he'll definitely help the team on the defensive end. The perimeter will be in a much better place for us. And then I also think having a guy, because I think it gets overlooked. We've turned into a 3-point league and people have forgotten about guys who can shoot that mid-range game. Johnny Davis is a mid-range assassin, and he's only going to get better at that. Now, eventually, I think he'll get better at shooting threes, but mid-range is where he lives, so let him do what he does. And I think that'll help the Knicks. When the Knicks go into those ruts and they're up 20 points and they can't get a bucket, Johnny Davis can get you a 2-point shot. So that's why I like him, man.
Wow. So still on the board is Doran is still on the board. Sohan is still on the board. Eason is still on the board. And Branham is still on the board. All right. Any thoughts on Davis?
I do want to just say, if we miss out on Shaedon Sharpe by 1 pick, I am going to be so upset.
Me too.
You know it can happen.
I agree, Tony.
If he slides that low, and we see that, I think we got to start looking into potentially trying to move up a couple of spots or something to grab him.
Right.
If he drops that low.
I'm hearing that he's, early in the draft, he was like the almost consensus top 5, maybe 6.
Right.
But he's kind of moving, a little lower now. So there's an opportunity. I think he's a wild card. You're basically going on, his high school tape. So some teams, I think, aren't as comfortable with that as we thought they would be. What you was gonna say, Freezy?
I'm missing something with Johnny Davis.
Oh, me too.
I don't see it with Johnny Davis. And I don't want to sound like a hater, but like what Tony said, if Shaedon Sharpe is falling down the board like that, think about it. Ben Mathurin, AJ Griffin, and Shaedon Sharpe are falling like that towards us. The last player on my mind is Johnny Davis. I ain't even gonna hold you. Right. And I know it's different strokes for different folks and stuff. But I don't know if I would take Johnny Davis there if I already have Quentin Grimes. I think they're similar makeup.
I agree with you 100%. The only thing that bugs me is I feel like Davis has a little more potential than Grimes. And that's, so I'm not mad at a Davis move, but then it makes me wonder, are we keeping Grimes? Are we trying to flip him for something?
Right.
And then what is his value based off of the limited time that we've seen him? I know our value as Knicks fans is probably a lot higher than the consensus throughout the league and other organizations. So
right.
So I think getting a Davis, I don't know, excuse me, how much value Grimes has throughout the league as far as
for a 6 point per game scorer with a negative net rating of 2.5. How much value does he have around the league? And if he's only averaging 6 points per game for the Knicks in a season where we were decimated in the backcourt with injuries, and he averaged 6 points per game and has a negative 2.5 net rating, why would we get in a slight upgrade over that? What are we going to get, 9 points a game? A 1 point net rating?
I mean, an upgrade is an upgrade.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
I mean, but with Grimes, you're talking about a guy who doesn't have a high usage rate, not a focal point of the offense. He's just if you open, we pass the ball to you, you hit the shot. He's
But
not
that's what it's.
involved
But
in
that's
that.
what's going to be Davis' role too, at least in the beginning.
Right. No,
Right.
yeah, but I think Davis, if as long as you keep him in his area, if you keep him in that 20 foot area, you're going to get really good results. And we've seen from Grimes,
But
he
we're
hasn't
not
been the
gonna do
most
that, bro.
consistent shooter.
But I think that was because of the injuries, though.
Yeah, and
I don't think he was healthy.
Yeah, and he's not going to get that carte blanche to operate in the 20. We already have poor floor spacing because our guards shoot less than 40%. Our backcourt shoots less than 40% from the floor. If it wasn't for Derrick Rose shooting 44%, our guards would legit, all our backcourt players total would shoot 39% from the floor and 37% from three. And to add a Johnny Davis to that only means, the only thing it means is we're going to have a Yogi Bear picnic. Ham sandwiches everywhere.
Well, that's what I'll say about Davis.
That's assuming that you're adding Johnny Davis into the same exact product that you had last year. The Knicks are not going to be the exact same thing this year. And I think that the plan for this organization is to change up the dynamic of the roster, which will help in turn change the way the floor spacing and the way they conduct their offense. I wouldn't think they're going to go into the game this year playing the same way they played last year with the same exact players, same principles. I think they're going to change it up a little. Even though it's Tom Thibodeau's system, there's going to be, if you bring in a guy like Johnny Davis, one, you don't need Grimes. I agree with that. But if he's here, he's here. If you also, we don't know if the Knicks are going to bring in a stretch big. The Knicks bring in a stretch big, that's going to change things too. We don't know what they're going to do yet.
But what I will say about the shooting is, I don't think the poor shooting was due to spacing. The poor shooting was that the Knicks couldn't hit a shot. The Knicks got plenty of open shots and missed. I didn't get the sense that these was contested shots and poor spacing, and that's why they were missing. They just wasn't shooting well. This is what I'll say about Johnny Davis. I do like him. I think he's NBA ready. I think he has a high floor. I just don't agree. I don't see the high ceiling that a lot of other fans do. I see the floor. I see the NBA readiness. I see the toughness. I see the body. I see the mid-range, the rebound. I see all of that. I just don't see a high ceiling. And I think he's a different player than Grimes. I think Grimes is a much better three-point shooter. I get it. After the injury, when he came back, he didn't shoot the ball well. But prior to the injury, he was a really good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter and a very good defensive player. I think Davis, at this point in his development, is more the mid-range. Now, we spoke to Grimes' trainer, who said that he has a mid-range game. That just wasn't his role this season. We shall see. And I also think Johnny Davis will shoot the three better. I think, he was that guy. He was, he had to take off-balance shots. He probably had to take shots, late in the shot clock, which you often do when you're that guy, and it may have, impacted his efficiency. We shall see. But I just don't see a high ceiling guy in Johnny Davis, but I'm not mad if they.
My only argument to that, Steph, and I've been saying it for weeks now. I get it. He's not as flashy. He doesn't show you that burst superstar possible potential that some of these other guys might turn into. But to me, there's nothing wrong with a guy who could be a 20-point scorer who plays really good defense and averages around 8.5 rebounds. I don't know where you can
think
find
you're
that.
Gonna get 8.5 rebounds in the NBA?
Listen, if you can average 8.5 rebounds in college, being 6'5", you can be a good rebounder in the NBA.
No, I think he'll be a good rebounder. But
yeah, like 5.5.
We had a guy like that, and he's the general manager of the Atlanta Hawks now, Landry Fields.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're talking about.
No, but Landry Fields was not the shooter of Johnny Davis.
Okay. Agreed.
Okay. All right. Tony, this is yours.
Uh-oh.
Coming right up. No, I want to give you. I'm gonna give you another one. It's kind of similar. NBA.com. I believe this was a consensus draft. So they kind of they looked at a lot of different mock drafts and kind of put them together. So Jabari Smith at 1, Chet, Pacero, Ivy, Murray, Sharp, Mathurin, Daniels at 8, Davis at 9, off the board, AJ Griffin at 10.
I think I gotta go with Malachi. I think.
Branham.
Yeah.
All right, who's still on the board? Eason is on the board. Branham is on the board. Eason, Sohan, Doran, and Mark Williams, of course, is still on the board. Abaji is on the board.
Yeah, I like Abaji too, but yeah, I think I go Malachi.
Okay.
Yeah, based off of age potential, more time to kind of grow into who he's gonna become, and I really like him. He's another smooth shooter. I think he has defensive potential, especially being so young at this particular point. Yeah, I think I go Malachi.
Okay, so that's
final answer.
Does he make the rotation?
If he doesn't, I'm not mad at his, giving him the time to grow and earn it. But I think he has a shot. I think he puts a lot of our guys on it right now on notice. You know what I mean? I think now it becomes everybody got to work a little bit harder, including him. But you know what I mean? I think everybody's got to work a little bit harder with this young boy coming in trying to earn his spot.
All right. So with the wings that we have on the team already, we still picking up more wings. We got Freezy had AJ Griffin. Am I correct, Freezy? No. He went Sohan. He went Sohan. Yeah. And Ron went Davis, and Tony went Branham. All right, this is mine. This is the NBA Draft.net that has your guy Sim at number 10. But anyway, number 1, Jabari. Number 2, Jet Holmgren, Pinchero. Ivy at 4, Murray at 5, Mathurin 6, AJ Griffin 7, Sharp 8, Dyson 9, and Abaji at 10. So who is still on the board? I could have used that empty space at the bottom to put who was still on the board. Doran is still on the board.
I thought that's where you was going to. So.
Right. Doran is still on the board. Sohan is still on the board.
Johnny Davis is still on the board.
Johnny Davis is still.
He's slid.
On the board.
And listen, chat. I just mentioned Landry Fields because of his rebounding. That was it. He was a good rebounder for his position. That was it. All right.
Right. At number 11 in the 2022 NBA draft, the New York Knicks are selecting Jaylen Duren out of Memphis.
I knew that's where he was going, Queen.
I'm going with the center out of Memphis. I really like this guy. 250 pounds, 6'11". I think he can give us 8 and 8 right now. I think he got a lot to learn, obviously, being a big in the NBA, but I like his skill set. I like that he could face up and hit the jumper. He can, he can handle himself around the basket. And I think if we lose Mitch in free agency, I don't know if Duren could come right in and start off the bat, but I think by the end of the season he could. He potentially could.
I just wanted to point out that nobody critiqued my pick, so I'm wondering if you guys were trying to spare my feelings or if
no, I like Branham.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, I was.
Right.
No, I like Branham. I just, I'm not in love with his defense. His defense is rough. It's rough. And I think some people have opened up my eyes to it being worse than it seems. It's tough. It's tough. But he can improve because he has the ability. He's a young guy who takes direction good. So it's not like it's a horrible pick. If he's in the right system and he he gets developed the right way, he can be a good player. Because if he gets decent defense, then he could be something special. Because his offensive game is he can get it.
Yeah, especially in the mid range. He's a maestro in that mid range, and he's really smooth. That throwback game, I like him.
Wait, so hold on. So you like Branham's mid range, but you don't like Johnny Davis's mid range?
Johnny Davis to me is just not a smooth player to me. But he gets the job done. He gets the job done. But when you see Branham, he's more fluid. He's more fluid.
It's a double-edged sword because on one side, this kid fights for his baskets in Johnny Davis. But on the flip side, it's like he gotta fight for his baskets. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. To get that separation. Like he's struggling. Like he threw the ball behind his back. He had to look to see where it was. Then
right. Yeah.
You know?
That's what a lack of athleticism. That's what. Never mind. I ain't trying to bash Johnny.
I know what you're doing.
Nah, man. I ain't trying to bash
with your
Johnny.
Players. He's on it. But any comments on Duran in this particular mock draft with these plays? Well, I'm sure Ron would have a problem because Davis was still on the board and I took Duran.
I don't know, Queen. I don't know. I just think that I'm a comment on your guy, but I'm just thinking that what enamors me to Davis is the fact of how often he was double teamed.
Yeah, no doubt about
it.
To
me, that's huge because if the dude gets single coverage, he could do. I mean, his numbers will look a little crazier, but I get it. But yeah, Duran is. I like Duran. I think he can be a better version of Mitch, quicker, because he's coming out with a little bit more than Mitch has. He's bigger already than Mitch was when we first got him.
Younger,
and he's got a little bit better of offensive ability. So I like it, especially if we lose out on Mitch. But if we keep Mitch, I don't know.
Right, then there's no need. Almighty finesse. AJ Griffin is gone. AJ Griffin went with the 7th pick.
It's two ways. It's two ways I look at it. Number one, it's like bittersweet because I feel like we get Duran, then I know my guy Mitch is gone. The writing's on the wall. So, but at the same time, if we know he's gone, we addressing the situation immediately. I'm not mad with Duran. I'm not mad with Duran or Williams, to be honest. If I know Mitch is gone, so
all right. I put a few more mock drafts because I wasn't sure how many would be on the panel, but each of us got a chance at one. And as you can see, that top 5, other than Abaji, it seems like the Knicks might get one player. The top 10 is pretty set. I mean, they put Abaji in here, so that definitely dropped Dyson down. Davis, yeah. Johnny Davis down, yeah.
You asked for a reminder about the whole Kyrie thing. I think someone asked about Freezy.
Yeah, so we can get, before we get out of here, and then we'll do last words if Freezy had any comments on the Knicks' potential interest in Kyrie Irving.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. And the reason.
Sorry, I meant to say there was another super chat. I was on mute. My fault.
Oh yeah, there was another super chat. All right, let me see. I did.
Man, Freezy
these
ain't
stars
had
from Freezy's show. Okay, let me just put this up. Appreciate you, Paris Duggar, always rocking with us. Appreciate the super chat. Fans got mad at me for saying Mathurin was too short for his game. He's falling for that reason. Detroit said as much. They said 6'4" and slight of build. Listen, we going by the combine numbers. Everybody was measured at the combine, and at the combine he was 6'6". Now he get to Detroit and he's an inch and a half. I mean, and we're talking about in shoes. Everybody's in shoes. Nobody is playing in the NBA barefoot, right? So we're talking about in shoes. He was 6'6". You know.
So, and if I may, who in the world is Detroit? Detroit ain't nobody. I'm taking advice from Detroit. I mean, really?
They probably don't even have up-to-date scales. No, I'm kidding.
Right? If this was like breaking news out of Golden State, then I'd have been like, okay, maybe we should pay attention. But this Detroit, bro. This Detroit. So anyway. So Queen, just the thing real quick about Kyrie, just real quick. Let's do it. And I know Knicks fans are against it. But here's the thing that Knicks content creators hear often. Steph hears it. Tony hears it. Ron hears it. I hear it. Everybody in Knicks universe hears it. Here's Knicks fans crying. Oh, Julius Randle is not a number one. We need a number one option. When Julius Randle's not a number one, right? Here's the other thing. When the Knicks blow fourth quarter leads, we had a 20-point lead and the Knicks lost the lead. We didn't have a guy. When boo-hoo. Right.
When we need a point guard.
Here's point number 3. When we need a point guard. We've been searching for a point guard for 50,000 years. When. And now a guy that fills all 3 of those needs is available on the cheap. And for us to say that we'll pass means either we were lying about those first 3 things that we mentioned. Those 3 things don't matter. Or we are saying we would rather be mediocre for the next few years while we continue to search for the guy that fits all those 3 needs that we mentioned. So either what you said about the team needs aren't true, or you're okay with being mediocre for the next such and such amount of years. And all I'm saying to Knicks fans is if I was Leon Rose, I would have done that yesterday. Now, Knicks fans, what do you want? Do you want your cake and eat it too? Right? Or do you want your cake and separately want to eat? Right? But you can't, Knicks fans, you hadn't won a championship since you had a Hall of Fame caliber point guard. And that was 50 years ago, right? Wow. And if you if you say that you'll pass on a guy that's still in his prime at the position, I think you may be okay with our franchise being mediocre, right? Here's the other thing to it too. A lot of Knicks fans will say, "Well, all the drama he created in Brooklyn because of listen, Brooklyn created the drama because Brooklyn traded for James Harden and Brooklyn moved Kyrie Irving out of his point guard position to shooting guard for a guy that didn't even want to be there. And you know how I know he didn't want to be in Brooklyn? Because when he was in Houston, he was wanting to go to Philly. And when he got to Brooklyn, guess what he did? He demanded a trade and got to Philly. In the meantime, you upset your starting point guard and didn't go. It wasn't even man enough or woman or adult enough to go to James Harden and like, look, man, I know you don't want to be here, but we already have an established point guard situation, right? A lot of this stuff is about relationships. And if you ruin relationships by being too cute with some stuff, that's on the organization for doing that. That's not on Kyrie. People mad because Kyrie didn't want to play. Kyrie had an excuse not to give effort to Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn gave him an excuse. My bad for being long-winded, Queen.
No, that's okay. This is what I want to ask you though. Kyrie in a vacuum, this is a no-brainer. Any questions though? Not just Brooklyn, even before Brooklyn. Any questions about his availability or lack thereof whether that's injury or whether that's a family matter or whether that's what's going on in the world. And I'm not hating on it. That's him, just in terms of he has interests outside of basketball, and he's made that very clear. And that there are times when he will go take care of those things. So in the last 3 years, he's played like 55, 56 games. Do you still feel the same way, taking into account his availability and just his personality, that if he sees something and he feel like he need a rest, he gonna take 10 games? Or if he feel like he needs to go help this cause, he gonna take another 5 games? Any concerns about that?
Nope. Because the alternative is Alec Burks, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickly, and Kemba Walker. And Kemba Walker missed a whole bunch of games, Queen. Guess what? His backup, Derrick Rose, missed a whole bunch of games, Queen.
Don't get me started with that.
Yeah, and also Emmanuel Quickly didn't miss a whole bunch of games, but for 2/3 of the season, Emmanuel Quickly did not look like an NBA point guard,
and never got an opportunity to start.
Right?
No, he didn't deserve it in that first two-thirds.
Oh, absolutely. I meant throughout the entire season when he kind of turned it around.
And just real quick to your point about missing games, I don't think we can use the missing game argument for Kyrie and not use the missing game argument for everybody else.
No, I agree for everybody.
But I will say this to say that the alternatives are, I think there's more alternatives than what we saw last year. So to say the alternative is Alec Burks and Kemba, and I think that's unfair. I think there's more alternatives out there. I think there's more opportunities out there moving forward. Are any of them going to be to the caliber of player of a Kyrie Irving? No, probably not.
No.
But I think you got to weigh everything when you say that. Fit is a concern for me. Him and Tibbs is
fit with who though? Fit with who, Tony?
Kyrie's fit with this team, or even fit with Tibbs.
With Tibbs,
are they going to bump heads?
Because I hear you, but let me just throw this in and then you can finish, because this came up on Sim Show. Check it out if you haven't. It's not about Kyrie fitting in with the rest of the people we have on this roster. If Kyrie comes here, he's the guy. And it's about how are they going to fit around him, or what is the front office going to do to bring in pieces to fit around him. I'm not going to, Kyrie doesn't fit with Grimes. Like, okay.
I think it's more than just saying, all right, Kyrie doesn't fit with this player or this player. I think it's bigger than that, because if we're talking about one player or two players, yeah, Kyrie outranks them. You know what I mean? You move those guys to see what fits. I'm talking about constructionally fits. Like, so are you saying bring Kyrie in and then whatever moves you got to make? Like if it's got the entire rest of the team to build around Kyrie, that's what you do.
That's what you have to do. That's the only way you're gonna get a championship. You don't bring Kyrie in and gonna look at his age. So if you're bringing in Kyrie, that's signaling that you're taking a change in the direction of how you're building this championship team. And you bringing him in at 30. I'm not sitting here waiting for McBride and Grimes to come into their prime. No, you're gonna have to get guys to go around Kyrie if you bring him in.
But again, you saying Grimes and McBride? Of course not. When you talk about those type of guys and the fit, it's an easy decision. But if you're talking about a total reconstruction and literally building around Kyrie, to me that is a big mistake.
Who would you build around?
Even as good as he is, because I don't know if that's an easy task. You know what I mean?
It's not. But who would you build around?
I like the foundation of what we have collectively more than bringing Kyrie in
I get that, Tony,
gutting
but
the
what I'm
team.
saying is, if they make the decision, I get it. You wouldn't make the decision. You would go with this foundation. But if the Knicks made that decision,
Oh, of course you building around
you-
Kyrie.
that's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, I would hope the vision is we bringing him in, but he fits with a Randall, or he fits with a RJ, or he fit. Like, I would hope that bringing him in, the thought process is we can make it work with him and at least a few of the guys that we have on here.
Sure,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure they're not going to turn over.
I
It's very hard to turn over the entire roster, but best believe when they're making decisions, they're going to make it with Kyrie in mind because he's the best player on the team. He's the best player on the team. If you go that direction, if you go, it's not something you already know how I feel about it.
There's no argument about that. Would he be the best player? Absolutely.
He would be the best player on the team.
I'm just saying it'll be we the people that talk about same old Knicks and I think I think bringing him in and kind of saying, hey, if we gotta reconstruct everything because we got him here and this is the foundation, I think that's same old Knicks, and I think
but any team would do that, Tony. Any team who brings in a player of that caliber is going to construct the roster around them, because if you don't,
listen, I'm not saying bring him in and don't structure it around them. I'm saying why I wouldn't bring him in.
Okay.
I'm not saying bring him in, but don't consider the fit or who we. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying these are reasons why I think it's too much reconstruction. It's too much next step. We got to do this and figure this out. And not saying we're anywhere close to,
Thank you, because we got to do that anyway.
But we have, at least in my brain, we have foundational pieces here now.
I don't agree. Who's the foundational piece?
I mean, I think RJ is one.
RJ is a piece, yes.
I think Randall is one, and if you argue that he's not, he's at least a guy that we could use to kind of bring in another piece. I don't know. I just think we're not that far off constructed well. Things got to fall right. Cam, you know how I feel about him and his potential. Things definitely got to fall into place, but to bring Kyrie in and kind of say, all right, the window's shorter now. You know what I mean? We're talking about win now. We're not talking about a guy that is going to be here and a foundational piece for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? If we continue to build off of what we have and where we are now, I think guys can be here for 10 years and kind of reach the ceilings. You know what I mean? Like Kyrie, we bring him in, I think it's a 3-year window max of trying to figure out what else we got to do to win a championship. If we continue to build off where we are right now, it could be a 10-year window, obviously, of elevation throughout that 10 years. But I think the window is just longer.
I agree the window is longer, but I don't think it's going to be a 10-year window, because what's going to happen, and shout out to Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, is these players are going to begin to separate themselves within the next year or two, and you're going to see that maybe we got one star with this team, and the rest of them, that's the issue with the Knicks. We don't really know who we have because a lot of these players haven't separated themselves. RJ has begun to separate themselves. We got a better sense of who he is. The rest of them, we don't really know, So that's why you got to be careful when you're saying, no, I'm going to hold on to this player. You don't know if that player can level off next year. And you gave up an opportunity. Now, I'm not saying Kyrie is that guy, but I'm just saying at some point, we got to get a star in here. And then at some point, we're going to have this same conversation about holding on, because we're going to have a big window. You might not have no window if none of these guys pop. We don't know that. So you might not have any window.
I mean, yeah.
You might not have no window, if none of these guys pop. Freezy, you were saying something?
I say do it. Yeah, I say do it because ultimately the organization said in the very beginning, we're in talent acquisition mode. And to say that we'll pass on Kyrie Irving, a guy that's going to moonwalk into the Hall of Fame, because I'm waiting on Quentin Grimes and Miles McBride to develop, is borderline a fireable offense. And here's the thing, Tony, this is why you do it, right? You make the trade for this guy and you trade off these terrible contracts that we have, right? And then you go into free agency this summer and see if you can pair a Kyrie Irving with a unrestricted free agent from a playoff team that's younger than Kyrie, right? Saying, hey, younger guy, Ron, who's an unrestricted free agent this summer from a playoff team? Maybe a guard that you could put in the backcourt. Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine. You can go to Zach LaVine, who's an unrestricted free agent, after you cleared these terrible contracts off your roster and say, hey, Zach LaVine, we're going to give you the max dollar amount, the max years, right? We're going to ask you, we're going to say, listen, the Knicks can be your oyster. And what we're in the process of doing right now is trading for Kyrie Irving, where y'all can share the backcourt in Madison Square Garden. No, you don't have to worry about Burks or Fournier or none of these guys, because we traded them to rebuilding teams. We attached assets, either a young guy or a first-round pick, to get them out of here so that we can sign you, for you to be the man. So it'll be you, RJ Barrett, and Kyrie Irving going forward, right? Now, this is only a possibility. This is only Uncle Freezy's dream scenario in his head. And I know this sounds like I jumped out the window, but simply by acquiring Kyrie Irving, it opens up all these possibilities.
That part is true.
I mean, I think that's speculatory though, because now you're saying Zach LaVine wants to come play with Kyrie, as opposed to maybe.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't, Tony. No, I didn't. I said you pitched this to Zach LaVine. I didn't say Zach LaVine wants to come here.
I'm saying for him to do it, he's gonna have to want to come here. My second point is it also has to be a sign and trade. So it's not like we have the cap space to say, all right, let's trade for Kyrie, and we got the cap space to go pursue a LaVine. And I feel like no matter who you name, that's what I mean. It's going to be a lot more difficult of a task. I don't think just because Kyrie's here, that means, all right, 40% of the free agents are going to want to come play with him. I don't know if that's true or not. You know what I mean? Like
Given what's going on recently with him.
You can say that, but I don't know if that's a true statement. So I think what we would have to do is trade for the pieces that we got to bring in to fit next to Kyrie, and that again is not an easy task.
No,
you know what I mean?
Easy, Tony.
The guys that we want to trade for, the other team has to want something in return for giving up the guys that want to come play with Kyrie.
Right, but Tony, what I'm getting at, what I understand, but hear me out on this, because I wanted to get to a certain thing. The thing is the trading part of the pieces on our roster is the easy part, because teams like Oklahoma City, the New Orleans Pelicans, and teams like that, they make a living off of taking bad contracts from teams such as the Knicks, as long as you attach a valuable asset to it, whether it's a first-round pick or a young player. Like Oklahoma City, they didn't draft SGA, right? They didn't draft SGA. You know what? They got him in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
They got him in a trade from the Clippers. And you know what OKC does? OKC does stuff like the Knicks have these assets that we mentioned, like the Grimes, the McBrides, the Sims, the Obies, the Cams, all these guys. You can include them in a trade with a Fournier, right? You can attach say the 11 pick and Randall to clear Randall's cap space to a team that values the 11 pick more than they value Randall, right? And the team may ask for more than that, but I'm just using that as an example. And I'm saying all these possibilities open up simply by you acquiring Kyrie Irving. That's what I'm getting at. Because I understand what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, and I totally agree with you. But instead of like the looking down the road thing, if asked if I would sign, it's not just about the on the court stuff with Kyrie. It's about all the things that you're able to do after you trade for a Kyrie, is what I'm getting at.
Let me read these super chats real quick. Shout out to Brooklyn Butch for the super chat. Kyrie would be the best player and worst employee. I will say, I wonder, can you trust Kyrie if the Knicks start losing? Like if he comes with expectations that the Knicks are going to make the playoffs, for example, and things don't go right and we're having a losing season, is he suiting up?
Right.
Yeah. Parish Duggar, Kardashian is a joke as a number one, swept with a KD. Oh, I see. I listen, you're not gonna have any issues with me with Kyrie as far as his talent level and his skill and him being like, to me, that's not even part of the conversation. If Kyrie didn't have injury issues, not even injury, I say availability to cover injuries and these breaks that he takes. If that wasn't an issue, I know some fans, even with that not being an issue, would have concerns about giving up the young core. I would not. If there wasn't availability, injury issues, I wouldn't have a problem. One more super chat. Brooklyn Butch, thank you for the super chat again. You want to build a team with Kyrie mentality? Really? I'm not sure what you mean by
Again, I'll say this, Queen.
Mm-hmm.
That scenario that you brought up, what you said, oh, these are the rumors of what it would take. I would like that type of scenario where we get him for cheap. You know what I mean? It just costs the expiring contracts. Would I entertain it? Yeah, because at that point, we still have a RJ, we still have a Randall, we still have a decent enough team around him. We still may be a piece or two away, but are we a better team immediate? Yes. I can't argue that. Do we have a closer, a go-to guy? Yes. Do we have a point guard now? Yeah. Yeah. So if you feel like it fits, that's different. But if you don't feel like it fits and you're willing to kind of bring him in and then kind of just find all the right pieces to go with him, to me, I feel like that's too much. So again, if you think he fits with some of these guys that we have here already, and then now we're closer as a team, and we still may need just a piece or two to kind of solidify us as a contender, I'll take the ride. You know what I mean? But if you're like, hey, let's go get this number one guy, and then we could just figure out the rest later, we might have to just change everything. We got to get rid of assets to make space for whoever the next guy is that we bringing in, and there's no game planning behind it.
But that's the game plan.
To me, I think that's too loose. That's too iffy. There's nothing. You know what I mean?
It looks iffy to us, but if they go out and get Kyrie, you best believe the front office is smart enough to know your window is 3 years, maybe 4, right, and that you're gonna have to, like LA did and like Brooklyn did, you gotta bring in 2-3 players in one off season, because you can't be wasting a year with him and this young core because the window is so short. So you're gonna have to make multiple moves the same off season that you get them.
I agree. You're 100% right, but then it's like it's do or die. You know what I mean? It's all the eggs in one basket. If something goes wrong, you are now stuck in this 3-year window with not only that, but not even an exit plan come past the 3 window. Like you don't know if you're even set up for the future after that 3 year.
But yeah, that's but
Hey,
listen.
but Tony,
You
Tony,
take that chance. LA
you got
took that chance.
I,
Brooklyn, let me tell you something. What Brooklyn did a few years ago, and I know their window was probably short.
yes,
Would I have done that? Absolutely.
absolutely. And
Absolutely.
Tony, and we say that as Knicks fans, right? And I'm sorry, I just want to say, Tony,
No, no, go.
we say this as Knicks fans, right? We have to remember who we are, bro. This franchise is a team that missed the playoffs 9 out of the last 10 seasons. Who are we to be risk averse? You know what I'm saying? Being a risk averse has gotten us in the lottery 9 out of the last 10 seasons. You know what I'm saying?
I would have done it. I would have done it too if we go back to that day and time.
Right.
But I have to. I can't just not look at hindsight and say, hey, we might have dodged a bullet. You know what I mean? Like we might be better off with this long reconstruction than what Brooklyn did in that attempt. And I'm only basing it off of hindsight. If we go back in time, yeah, 10 times out of 10, I take both of them.
Even right now, I would give up where we are right now for where Brooklyn is right now.
Yeah. And
because they
Tony,
still have a good chance of winning a championship in the next 3 years.
Yeah. And Tony, and team building is not as difficult for some teams as it is for others. For instance, there's a scenario where the Knicks could legit, and this is just Uncle Freezy dreaming out loud. I'm dreaming out loud. Buckle up your seatbelts. But the Knicks could sign Miles Bridges to an offer sheet, sit down with Zach LaVine, and trade for Kyrie Irving in the same offseason. And now, and here's the thing. Now, we probably won't sign Zach LaVine, and we probably won't sign Miles Bridges. But unlike in previous years, we at least get the meeting. In previous seasons, these dudes were signing, and we didn't even get to talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? It makes us respectable.
Do you fathom a world where we go ahead and make this move and we don't get these interviews because maybe somebody doesn't want to play with Kyrie?
But I've lived in that world already. I've been living in that world for 50 something years, where free agents don't give the Knicks the opportunity to. Big time free agents never gave the Knicks a shot. Whether you going back to Dominique Wilkins in the late 80s, Isaiah Thomas coming off his Achilles, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan in 1996, Shaquille O'Neal in 96, all the way up through LeBron in 2010, they never give us a shot. And right now, we can turn all of that around by making this one move with the guy. We finally have a guy in William Wesley and Leon Rose who's connected to this world. And this is the fastball that they've been waiting on for 2 years. This is drafting is not their thing, bro. You feel me? Player development is not their thing. But talking to and for free agents is their thing. And we finally give Leon Rose the fastball so he can take his home run swing by opening up this door. That's all I'm saying, bro. Because he might swing and miss. But you know what me and Ron will be talking about on our shows the next day? Man, the Knicks are taking their turn. Y'all remember that theme song from the Jeffersons? We moving on up. We getting our turn at back. That's what I'm saying. This is when all of us do our shows the next day after a swing and miss. We'll be talking about how the Knicks are moving on up to the east side, getting our turn at bat. Finally, eventually, when we take enough of these home run swings, we'll start hitting home runs. But right now, we can't hit a single because we don't even get a turn at bat.
Hey, I'm not mad at attempting a home run. I just think there's other options that are better. Like I said, if I hear that Kyrie's available, I call the Knicks right away. I mean, call the Nets right away and inquire about Ben Simmons and just see have the conversation. You know what I mean? So I'm not opposed to swinging. and swinging for the fences. He's just not I think there's better options long term for us that still fit that role. I'd probably take Bradley Beal before Kyrie at this point.
Well, I mean,
and attitude and fit and you know what I mean. Like those things matter a lot to me. It's not just about talent. And especially with what we've witnessed with him. You know what I mean? Everything we've witnessed with him, it don't take nothing away from his talent. Like the talent is still there. It never diminished. Like we never questioned that. It's just the other things.
Yeah, I
Go ahead, Ron, before we get out.
you know, I'm not in love with this Kyrie thing. I don't like him as a person, but that really has nothing to do with him as a player because he's incredible as a player. But I will say I do think if the opportunity is there, I think Leon is swinging for the fences. I think this is what he's been waiting for. And, you know, this is in the long line of Knicks GMs and basketball operation heads trying to make a run at somebody and it never being there. And I think this is probably the first opportunity that might present itself where Leon is like, we got to see what we can do here. So I see it happening. I don't think it should happen, but I see it happening. And I'm also with Sim that I don't think that necessarily a bunch of players are clamoring to come play with Kyrie. But I also don't think a bunch of players are clamoring to go play with LeBron either. I think they are a certain type of player, and you know, you need to be a certain type of player to fit into whatever they got going on. So look, I don't know. All I can say is if you tell me the Knicks are going to go into next year with the same exact team and not do anything different, and the only thing on the table is getting Kyrie, then of course I'm going to say, well, you know, I'd rather go Kyrie and try something different, but I still think the Knicks are going to do something different. I also feel like, not that it's 100% possibility, but if you got Kyrie sitting out there and there's still a real chance of Donovan Mitchell sitting out there, I'm going Donovan Mitchell. That's my feeling.
I feel like I can name 5 to 10 guys that I would say I'm going this route instead of that Kyrie route.
But the issue is that these players don't become available that often.
Right.
So, sure, we can name 5 people we like over any player, but will those players become available? And that's the issue. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you use your assets on Kyrie, if someone does become available, I think we have enough.
But that's
depending on how much you give, though.
That's a good point, because wouldn't it be funny? And this would just be just the Knicks' luck. Wouldn't it be funny if they decided to, because things are a little too hairy, because we talked about a bunch of scenarios earlier, wouldn't it be funny if they brought Kyrie in on like a 1-year thing and see how this whole thing will play out and then possibly do the extension with him? Right. And then a guy like Donovan stays with Utah, but says, hey, I was thinking about going to the Knicks, but they put all their chips in Kyrie, so I stood here. And then Kyrie walks. Like that would be the Knicks' luck. But anyway,
I would prefer them to sign up for just a 1-year contract.
Right.
And that changes my thought too.
And see how it goes. Got another super chat here. Brooklyn Butch, appreciate you. Kai is not a team builder. He's more of a destroyer. I mean, I don't think. To me, I don't. Oh boy. Other than his injuries, Kyrie just has a different way of seeing the world, and he has different priorities. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him.
That was true. That was true, Steph. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was true and funny at the same time.
Right. If there's gun violence or police violence and there's a Black Lives Matter protest or something, he's liable to go and miss a game. I can't say I'm mad at somebody who tells me there's certain things that's bigger than basketball.
Right.
And if it falls on a game day, I'm gonna go. That's Kyrie. So I'm just saying, you just got to, if you want him here, you're going to have to get comfortable with that. Him saying, I'm feeling tired, mentally, I'm tired. I need 5 games.
I think
You just got to have, if you want Kyrie here, just get comfortable with that.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that, you know what I mean? Like, and it could be commendable and respectable if you feel that way. Like, you know, some things are more important than basketball. But let's also not forget that this is your job. You know what I mean? Like I mean, I guess I can say, hey, you know what? There's more things important than my job today, and I gotta go take care of that. And some of us aren't financially able to do that and may feel that way. So, and others are. But at what point does your job become a priority? Or as the employer, at what point do you have to factor these things in and say, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we like you. We think you would be a valuable asset to the company, but you have to prioritize us the way we're prioritizing you. You want a max contract. You want 4 years or 5 years. Well, we want that same type of commitment back. You know what I mean?
Right. I would just say this. Are the Cleveland Cavaliers willing to give their NBA Finals trips back just because Kyrie Irving was on the team? No. They won an NBA championship after drafting Kyrie Irving #1 in the draft. And trust me, they earned that #1 pick that they drafted Kyrie with. LeBron left and that team was a disaster. And with that #1 pick, they drafted Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving was on that team that took one of the worst franchises in professional sports to the NBA Finals and won it. And sure, LeBron was there, and sure, J.R. Smith balled out of control, right? But the fact remains, Kyrie Irving was a part of a disaster of a franchise going to the NBA Finals multiple times and winning it once, right? And here we sit as Knicks fans. I'm not going to call us a disaster of a franchise, but our ship doesn't have a rudder on it and no sails. The engine's out. And we just floating on water in the sea, no direction, right? And we are saying that, Kyrie Irving, let me think about it. When the alternative is Alec Burks, Derrick Rose, and Kemba Walker. I'm just saying, think about it.
But
So,
what
you're saying, real quick, Ron. So you're saying because of our history, where we've been as an organization, we should take the risk. And some people see it as a big risk. Some people see it as a little risk, that we should take the risk that he may just play 55 games.
No. What I'm saying is, and I'm going to use a Spider-Man reference. I'm going to use the with something with something comes big responsibility. How's it go with
great power comes great responsibility?
Yeah, with superstar players comes a lot of other stuff. I'm gonna just say it like that, right? I want to use. And so the thing is, do y'all think that Milwaukee is mad at Giannis because he forced them to bring his brothers in there? Nepotism. I mean, think about Giannis's brother has an NBA job, and we know he's not an NBA player. You know how we know he's not an NBA player? We had him, and he was garbage, right? And that kid got minutes in the NBA Finals because of Giannis. They like, with this stuff, like, hey, with me, y'all gonna have my family, right?
Yeah, but they did other things. They did other things to keep him there, like, and brought in guys to keep him there. It wasn't like, all right, how many brothers you got? Let's go get all the brothers. Let's bring in non-talented NBA players and surround them just to keep. No, they went and got Drew Holiday, a risky move. They
Right.
You know what I mean? They moved Brogdon, which was a risky move at the time.
Right.
They brought in Tucker.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they've done things to appease him, but also the right thing for the organization. You know what I mean? They spent some money. They went out of their way. So like let's not act like bringing in his brother as a 15-man on the roster was something bad that they did, and that's all they did. They did a lot of good things to keep him there.
Will the Knicks front office do good things once they get Kyrie?
I mean, I'd much rather do the right thing for a guy that one is on Giannis's trajectory of, we're gonna see Giannis for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? He's gonna be there and I don't want to go with the homegrown talent thing. I mean, some people will, but his window is a lot long. His lifespan in the NBA is a lot longer, starting from right now today than a Kyrie is. You know what I mean?
But that's because he's been in the Kyrie has been in the league longer.
I mean that's true, but we would be making the deal now. We wouldn't be making it 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And to your point of, you know, him being a vital part of that championship, yeah, you can't take that away from him. But if we were gonna bet money on who would have won a chip, you know what I mean? Like could LeBron have won that chip with Kyrie removed from that situation? I believe so. But you take LeBron away from Kyrie, and you could go before LeBron and after. He hasn't won anything. You know what I mean? So to keep giving those accolades and those props about what he did with LeBron, let's also look at what has he done without him. You know what I mean? And this is numerous stops.
Are you asking what LeBron did without Anthony Davis or Dwayne Wade? Or are you asking
everybody needs help?
Yeah, he's had help. He's done it on numerous occasions though. Let's not act like, all right, before LeBron, who did Kyrie have? All right, fair take. After LeBron, who has Kyrie had? So let's not act like he didn't have help. All these years, like the 3 years in Boston, the 3 years with Kyrie, maybe -1 with Kyrie.
But Boston though, those guys was young. I don't know if those guys was ready.
They were young, but they were there before him. They were a team, a successful team before him. He was supposed to be the guy with championship experience, with knowledge to put them over the top. He failed in that matter, immensely. And if we're gonna move it to Brooklyn, I mean, come on, let's be honest. He's failed. That whole team, he's underachieved.
Yeah, and Tony,
that's still going on. That's still going on. There's a lot to be said for what didn't happen in Brooklyn. KD got injured. They traded Harden in the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season. So, and that experiment is still going on.
Ben Simmons and but here's the thing, Tony. Here's the thing that this is the reason why I say do it. Because in all those Kyrie Irving failures, it would be an exponential come up for the Knicks. If you told Knicks fans that they would lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, guess what? They'd be like, let's do it. If in Brooklyn, if you told Knicks fans that they would lose, just go get Kyrie and we'll lose in the second round of the finals, or we'll lose the game before the Eastern Conference finals because Kevin Durant stepped on the line, Knicks fans will be like, you know what? I'll take that, because the alternative is beating the Washington Wizards in a meaningless game at the end of the season and winding up with the 11th pick. And now we're deciding who we want more, a ham sandwich or a tuna sandwich. That's the alternative.
My whole thing is,
read
that, Paris Duggar.
Paris Duggar, appreciate you. Sure, LeBron is there. Wow. Kyrie took, what, did I miss something after that?
Oh, well, I mean, he put another super chat. Maybe he's saying what he wants to say in the other one.
Okay. Did I miss it? This one?
Yeah.
Kakai is stealing our draft week. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think that's what he was getting at.
Right.
I just wanted to say, look, is he an interesting player that you can't not do your due diligence on, fine. But we're talking about what we got to do to build around Kyrie if we get him here, because we're going to have to, help facilitate that process. The flip side to me is, what's Kyrie going to do when he gets here? How valuable will he be to the Knicks organization? Will he put this team on his back? Will he do everything possible to make sure that this Knicks team is in a better position with him than without him? Because that's the thing that you see from Giannis. Say what you want. Giannis gives his blood, sweat, and soul for that Milwaukee team. So if we can get some of that type of action from Kyrie, then I may look at him differently.
And let me just add this last part. If Kyrie came out and said, "Hey, I want to come to the Knicks. I feel like I could turn this thing around." Like if he came out and voiced it in that matter, that might even change my perspective a little bit. But at this particular point, it's really this is what it is.
Leverage.
Brooklyn and Kyrie are at odds, right? They're not agreeing on something, whether it's 4-year contract extension to 2 years, whether it's full max to a little bit less, whatever it is. The media has put the Knicks name into this. You know what I mean? Like it's not like Kyrie said, "Get me out of here, send me across the river." Because even in that aspect, to your point, Ron, that changes things. Because now maybe I feel like, you know what, he wants to be here. He wants to change this thing around. He's gonna be dedicated. You know what I mean? But to take a risk of making a move because a superstar is available and saying, "Hey, we've lacked a number one guy, so here's the number one guy that's available. I gotta make that move." I disagree. Well,
I just don't even.
I think you gotta find a number one guy, but it's gotta be the right guy.
I don't think he's leaving. I think this is all leverage. It's all, he's doing what he's got to do for his business standpoint, and he's going to stay with the Nets because I think KD might be like, "Yo, you brought me here. Now you want to bounce?" So I don't know. I don't see him really wanting to get up out of there. And what situation is he going to go to that's better than the one that he's currently in? With a healthy Ben Simmons, where's he going to find a better situation?
Yeah. I think the Nets, I have to read the article. The Nets may not want to sign him.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah, the Nets, I think it's more,
No, well.
All right.
And it's speculatory out interest, I think.
All right. Let's get out of here. I just want to say before I leave to those in the chat, please be respectful. You don't have to agree with anything I say, but I'm not stupid. My comments aren't stupid. And that's the same for anybody on this panel and anybody in the chat. We are all entitled to our opinions. You like it, fine. You disagree, fine. You can say as much, but please be respectful. We don't want to block people here. All right. Any last words, fellas?
Talk to him, Queen.
Yeah.
And Yo Black is time. Shout out to the chat.
I just
another great panel.
Yeah, this is a great show.
If I may, I just want to say thank you for letting me get a little chatty, y'all. Y'all know I get chatty sometimes.
Oh, it's fine.
Right. So thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And for those that don't know, you know what I'm saying, it feel good being home. You know what I'm saying? Back when me and Tony used to have to wait an hour and a half for who's marked to finish So hey, thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed the back and forth. Queen, the questions were excellent, and things like that. I really feel like you threw me some fastballs so that I can get into my wheelhouse and such. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean,
right,
that wasn't my intention. I was just throwing them out there. You guys had some great opinions today, and it just gave me the opportunity to kind of follow up on some of them. I say all the time, I learned from other panel members. I learned a lot since being on the panels, actually, and I also learned a lot from those in the chat. So I know you guys comment. You best believe that we do read the comments, and if you give me something to think about, I definitely will think about it. So thank you, Freezy, for coming on. Ron, Tony, you know how we do. Yeah, my opinion has
Yeah.
changed a few times from just listening to other panelists or, even people in the chat or who comment on my videos. Like, oh, wow, I never thought of it like that.
I just wanted to add, and the queen will put you in your place too. She is reading the comments, so
She don't fool around.
you know what I mean?
She don't fool around.
keep it respectful.
Just quick shout out. Definitely, guys, tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
Yep.
It'll be our third and final installment of the NBA draft series that we're doing at Still Knick Fans with my man D's World of Hoops and Feet Sports. So we're gonna do a mock draft for you guys, and then we may do something after the draft, as you know, because we gotta break down what the Knicks wind up doing. But tune in 8 p.m. tomorrow night.
Hey, I thought that was the fourth installment. It's third?
No, this is the third. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so we jumping on tonight too, like right after this. I'm gonna
Freezy.
go.
Hold on. Can I just say? Let me say this right now, because y'all don't know. If y'all seeing Freezy for the first time, Freezy's been around. He's been on NBK. Listen, Freezy
He has his
is
own
like
channel for
James
those who
Brown
don't know.
of freaking podcast. This dude is lighting it up. These past three, he has been lighting it up, man. It's almost 24/7 Freezy.
Right.
You killing it right now, brother.
Right. And I'm great.
That's a nice monarch too. 24-hour Freezy.
Bim. And so for those that want to hang out late tonight, I'll be doing the Knicks at Night podcast. I will be legit open panel bashing the Kyrie Irving haters. So if you are if you're a Kyrie Irving hater, come on. And I'm gonna play some music. You know what? When y'all start, all I'm gonna say is this is what it sounds like when doves cry. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
Was that a Nas reference? I see what you did. You try to get me on the show.
Right.
So there won't be a crossover this Wednesday. We will be en route, or at least packing to go to Atlantic City for the draft party. So no crossover this Wednesday. We'll see you next week. But for those who follow and those who don't, you could start. I'll be doing my Just Nicking It series on Dope Soul Sports Talk tomorrow at 9:00, the final show before the draft. And hey, the next time we meet, we'll be talking about who we picked and the upcoming free agency. So it's about to get interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. And no NBA report this week either. But obviously for the same reasons. Yeah.
For the draft. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna attempt to get a late night what oh my God, what do I call it? When I get Sim on late night, we're gonna do that. No. Just a little side thing I do on Knicks and Bruises. Quick hits with Sim. Oh my God, there we go. Quick hits with Sim. Try to get that done Wednesday night. Might be midnight. Freezy. I hope don't worry. It's quick hits. It's 30 minutes. So if you on midnight Wednesday, you guys could check me out and then jump right on to Freezy's. I do want to say thank you guys. I'm very close to my 2,000 subscribers. I got 205 more to go. So if you haven't liked, subscribe, go to Knicks and Bruises. I appreciate you guys. Queen, it's always a pleasure. Sim in the background. Appreciate you. Ron, Freezy, you guys are inspirations as well. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward. What, a day and a half away, 2 days away? We almost there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And my shameless plug, Dope Soul Sports Talk. If you haven't subscribed already, I appreciate you guys. I've been up for just a few months. I'm at 400 and moving, so I appreciate you guys.
You got the cheat code.
But anyway, that's out. We out of here.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you. All right.